then you choose to walk on eggshells, and then that's what you choose.
Yeah, well, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna ask, like, when did gaming become like this? Because it used to be like a subculture that was kind of edgy and did shit, and it was just like about artistic freedom of expression and doing what was interesting and cool, and like it was irreverent. And now it's become this. It's just
it got hijacked.
A cog in the machine.
Keep in mind,
corporatism.
A vast chunk of gamers don't even know this has happened.
Exactly. And the thing is they're just loud. And we've learned that with Hogwarts Legacy is that the gaming industry has been, all of a sudden, they just took over all of these crazies, all this crazy ideology and stuff has taken over the gaming industry just like it's plagued everything else. But they think they're catering to the majority, and what they're finding now, just even with Hogwarts Legacy as a perfect example, is they're not the majority at all. I think how this initially got to this point was that gaming was always like more edgy and more your hardcores versus your casuals and all that. Well, then people started saying, why are you gatekeeping us? Why are you gatekeeping us casuals? We want to play too. And then it was like, okay, let's let more people in. Let's be more welcoming and invite them. Well, then they walked in and then took over. And then it's like wanting to put all of this message into everything, wanting to fill all these diversity quotas, needing this, that, and the others, this checklist, making games for this most like bottom of the barrel people who aren't really gamers, but who wanted in on the hobby because it's like, oh, it's fun, it's profitable, they want in on it. And so we've seen, even beyond just the message, we're seeing games that are babied down severely in general. People are just wanting to watch just a story on a screen, and gameplay is taking a back seat because the message is taking the front seat. And now gamers are getting sick of it. Gamers are being a lot more bold now. And I think with what's going on with Hogwarts Legacy and its success is going to help turn the tides. And even with Elden Ring last year, here's a game that put most of its focus on gameplay, giving gamers, actual gamers, not just the people who just only want to watch a pretty story. Actual gamers got a real video game with Elden Ring. And that really made waves. And then now with Hogwarts Legacy here, people are realizing, hey, well, maybe we shouldn't be pandering to this other crowd.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but like the actual content of the game isn't in any way like transphobic or anything like that. It's like there's even trans characters in it. Like, so it's like it's giving them all that they want, but because it's like associated with a person they don't like, that's it for them.
That's never been transphobic, by the way. Let's
exactly.
Just keep pointing that out. She's never been transphobic.
She never said anything actually transphobic. She's just like, okay, keep wieners out of female restrooms. That sounds perfectly reasonable to me. But
well, basically, what she said
too, apparently. So
what she said was the biological equivalent of 2 + 2 = 4.
Yes.
Well, yes, they're trying to rewrite reality.
Yeah.
Like that's what's going on right now, and that is part of a culture war, a legit culture war. It's part of what happened in China, and that's my next video is about that. Bill Maher talked about it recently, getting rid of the 4 olds. And yeah, just up is down, black is white, good is evil. Everything will be turned upside down because it won't matter, and it's all in a move to just make us all like little pod people. And they are engineering the culture now. Did they start it as a master plan? No, it was very easy to do when you had a bunch of like-minded people. Then corporatism gets involved. Then these investment firms with their ESG and their DEIs get involved, and here we are. And what you just said, it's the same thing's happening in storytelling. They're dumbing down. Drinkers make great videos about it. They are dumbing down storytelling for the normies when we were all normies. We were all casuals when we started. Mm-hmm. We just liked the stories. They were good stories. So everything's getting watered down because there's too much right now. There's just everything's so there's not enough talent, and it's very easy for woke activists and middle management to come in and take over because the bankers don't pay attention and the creatives just want work. So that's how we get here. And it's also people were calling it out soon enough.
Exactly. We just like let it happen because we were told, oh, you're mean, you're gatekeeping, this and that. And so it's like, okay, let's be more welcoming. Well, then they just took over. And it's funny, I agree too with what you said, is how a lot of us were normies. I was always more on like the casual gamer side. I wasn't even considered like super hardcore before. But now with how the way games are now, or how gamers are now, the people who waltzed in and they don't even want video games to be video games anymore. It's just like the casuals of old are the hardcore now. It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, we can always test your cred. Who's the main character's name in Halo?
John 117.
You know what? That's good enough.
Wasn't it the Asian girl from the TV show?
Oh yes, it was.
That's the main character.
The beloved TV show.
Like as a sign of just the hysteria that's been around this game, there was actually a site created to track the Twitch streamers who dared to play this game, and they were added to a list which you could then consult.
That is great.
And it's nothing
it.
bad has
I'm
ever
not on
come
Twitch.
from adding people onto lists based on what they dare to do or what they are. So sure, that's nothing sinister about that. But fortunately, it's been shut down apparently. After a couple of days.
Oh, the guy fucking removed it because he was like, "Holy shit, I'm about to tank my whole life by making this thing."
Hilarious.
Yeah, I think he might have had maybe a sudden attack of common sense, but it just shows you though that the impetus was there to create it, and it was getting a lot of traction as well. Which again, wow, you just have to look at the mentality of the people who would support something like that. It's like
exactly. That's
Look
exactly
at Desper,
right.
man.
Because
They egg
the
each other
intention-
on, and then they convince themselves it's apocalyptic what's happening.
Oh yeah, they're like, trans people are gonna die if you play this game. Like, what? In what universe?
Meanwhile, like just any normal person is just like, I just want to play a wizard game where I can like
Wouldn't
cast
the
spells.
logic
easily.
be
Damn it.
fewer people are going to die because they're all going to be at home playing a game, so they're not going to be outside doing it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
keeping them safe.
I think it might be actually
Well, see,
saving
that's-
lives.
Look, my parents never bought the whole violent games make you violent. They were looking at me
Right.
play them. They were like, "But he's there, just playing."
Look at little Molly down there. Such
Yeah.
a sweet elder.
Wearing his gas mask.
Yeah.
Naturally.
He's a perfectly normal boy.
It's funny that the one question I've never asked is like, is the game actually any good?
It is. Yeah,
after
it's
all this.
actually really good. I think it's great. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why it's succeeding, because obviously the whole just wanting to get back at all the wokes and proving them wrong. Buying it out of spite motivated a lot of people into buying it, but if it wasn't good, I don't think it would ultimately be as successful as it is right now. But it actually is a really good game so far from what I've
That's
played.
good to hear.
Mhm.
And is there a spell that allows you to turn people inside out? And if not, why not?
I haven't gotten that spell yet. I guess we'll see.
So
But
that's what I'm holding
The
out for.
combat's great. I think the combat is probably the best part of the game. It feels almost like you're playing an instrument with all those spells and how they have cooldowns and stuff and rotating through them, and your parries and all that. It's like a rhythm, and if you mess things up a little bit, it's like oh wait. But it's great. Yeah.
Fair
Voldemort would probably come up with a spell like that. I mean, like, the closest is Sectum Sempra, which gashes you open. That's
Oh, yeah.
Snape's spell.
Even I remember those ones.
There you go.
Isn't there one that can like remove all the bones from your body, so you're just like a kind of jelly man?
Yep.
Whoa.
Cool.
That was accidentally done, but yes. Yeah.
That would be great. The fun that could be had.
Just go see Madame
that's the
Pomfrey,
sort of
you'll be
fun.
fine.
That's the sort of thing that would draw me in. It's like, if you could just do ridiculous things to people, perfect. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
By the way,
And that's what's funny about it is that the haters were like, they're trying to mass tag the game on Steam with quote bad tags, and they're calling it Genocide Simulator. And all that did was make us gamers go, that sounds awesome! Sign me up!
Let's do it.
hey, what's fantasy for if not genocide?
Right?
Genocide. That's right.
Exactly.
You know, it's talk about all these elements of it, especially the one where it's like an engine to find out whether or not you've played the evil game. Sometimes I wonder, like, if Earth were a TV show aliens watch, like in Futurama, I think they'd be like, the writers are getting a little ridiculous at this point. Like, they're really desperate, pulling out these insane contrivances to make drama. I'm not liking this new season 2023. It's been pretty shitty. But then most of the aliens are like, this is the best shit ever. Are you kidding me? This is so fucking entertaining.
Yeah, and now what they're doing too is because they lost, they know they lost, and so instead of just letting things go, they're going into people's streams, they're going into people's replies on Twitter, and they're posting story spoilers for what happens at the end of the game. So that just proves that none of it was about virtue, it was all about control. And since they couldn't control us, they want to try to ruin the experience for people.
And of course, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not about virtue. It's about control and politics. That's it. They just don't like her one thing. Politic. I can't even like plural that one. It's one politic that they don't like. And it's, you know, as a guy surrounded by my plastic pals here, I got to tell that fucking grow up. Okay. Like for one, you don't need validation from a video game or a comic book or a movie, and if you require those things for validation, therapy is an option.
Yes.
Especially there's a lot of countries that offer it for free. So go.
Well, dude, the idea that they were trying to stop everyone from playing it, when that failed, they were like, "That's it, I'm spoiling the plot." It's like, real. Seriously.
For them to even know the plot, they had to have watched or play themselves.
It is just like there's nothing that infuriates them more than when they don't get their own way.
Yep.
You know, when they come up against a person or a game or a movie that's so big that they can't cancel them.
Yep.
You know, that's just when the frustration and the screeching takes hold and they get desperate. Oh, we've lost Gary.
Well, the funny thing to me is a couple of my transgender friends are streaming it. I'm like, yes.
Oh, damn. Do they get called transphobic?
Yeah.
They
they get called transphobic too. Yeah, and I'm just like, this is hilarious.
I was reading the chat was getting kicked. Did I get kicked?
No, you're here.
Okay. Somebody said
you're
kick Gary. I'm like,
I
what?
hear you, Gary. You're
I
all
was
right.
like, okay, no, somebody got salty in the chat, and I was just laughing at it. I can't say it though. I can't say what they said. It was pretty funny though.
I love it when chat
Props.
pops off with something amazing. And it's like, can't read it,
Can't
but
read
I'm
it.
appreciating it.
That's right. Oh my god! Hey, I bought the game because I bought the game because I wanted to play it. Like, had nothing to do with owning anybody or anything. I pre-ordered it. I haven't touched it yet, but I can't wait to play it tonight. So
Yeah, and I look forward to getting it for the PlayStation 5. And then eventually, maybe sometime, I'll get the PlayStation 5.
All right.
No amount.
Is it just going to have pride of place? Like, you get it framed or something? It's just like,
something like that.
Frame
like a
of PS5.
statement.
breaking
already
case
know
of purchasing PS5.
Do you already know what house you're gonna play as, Gary?
nope, I started from scratch because I signed
Okay.
up Pottermore forever ago. So I was Ravenclaw back then. Now we're gonna start from scratch and see what happens.
Cool.
Probably the
Nobody
same thing,
in
but-
their right mind is ever going to pick fucking Hufflepuff.
Wow.
I am the
Why?
I am the most chaotic Hufflepuff. Well, I got, I'm all the time on those personality quizzes I get Hufflepuff. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to be Hufflepuff, but I'm going to be a very chaotic Hufflepuff. And that's exactly what I'm doing. One of the quests, it was like this girl is standing at the dock and she's like, oh, my family heirloom that my dad gave me, I lost it in the water. Can you fetch it for me? So I'm like, okay. So I go and grab it for her and come back. And then I tell her, I think I'll keep it for myself. She's like, you monster.
Not a true Hufflepuffian.
Not
Single-handedly bringing down the house reputation. you know?
Yeah.
right. You like the precursor? Well, no, Cedric brought it back, but you're the reason it was down for so long until Cedric. It will be you.
It's funny you say that. There's a sketch with David Mitchell where he's pretending to be an announcer for Hufflepuff, and he's talking about their achievements list, and he's like silent, and then he goes, "One of us died." Something that happened. I don't know.
I never understood what Ravenclaw was all about. Like, obviously Slytherin's well-defined, Gryffindor's like the all-rounders. Like, what's Ravenclaw's
They
thing?
judge everyone else from high above on their thrones.
Yeah,
Oh, I like
wit
them.
beyond
Perfect.
measure is man's greatest treasure. So they're clever. They're the clever ones.
Oh, okay, so that's their
So
thing.
Slytherin is the devious one. Ravenclaw are a bit aloof and they're smart. They're very smart.
Brave, smart, courageous, and autistic, I think, are the four, right?
Yeah, that's it.
That sounds
That's
right.
their
That's it.
virtue. Harness your autism.
Oh yeah,
Yes, weaponize.
you
your
could make a
autism.
6-hour video on a movie. If you do it right.
That's Mahler's entire channel. What are you talking about? And we love it.
We do indeed. Where would we be without the long man?
Aw,
Yeah.
Short. We'd be short.
we'd be short.
Just making short videos, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we'd be doing. But yeah, there was something else that's obviously been in the news quite a bit over the past couple of days. Disney are, well, they seem to be kind of imploding, but at the same time, there's power struggles at the highest levels, and Bob Iger, I think, has made his most recent earnings report, and had a call with his investors to outline his strategy going forwards, and it seems to be fire a bunch of people, like make money, trim costs, somehow get the company profitable again, because damn, Disney Plus has lost like 2.5 million subscribers. That's not great. That's
No.
not great stuff.
It's safe to say it's now official. What we've known for ages is now official. It's like, there you go. It failed. The streaming experiment failed miserably. I mean, we've
And
had a couple
remember,
confirmations anyway.
That's them skewing the numbers in the most
Yes.
positive direction possible. Okay?
Well,
like
yeah.
we're not counting
Well,
all the paused subscribers who are basically people who left, but their name is still in the system. Andre knows about that one. The CBS All Access pulled that off. We already know Warner Brothers, because they had to open their books for the sale, got busted fudging numbers. So that's the positive spin. How bad is it really going? I mean, well, we know they're restructuring everything, and 7,000 people, which is a drop in the bucket to
Right.
Disney, have lost their jobs because of this, which sucks.
It's 3% of their total workforce, actually, because the total workforce of Disney is around 200,000 something. So I read some calculation that 3% of the total workforce has to go. So obviously, like the Bob Chapek distribution division, that's mostly gutted already. But the rest is going to come from a little bit here and there. But a really big thing, because Iger basically said that, they're kind of going to cut their way to profitability. And Iger's problem is that he has put so much pride and so much of his legacy into Disney Plus. Now, as you guys already said, the streaming model for Disney Plus is failing across the board, but it's especially failing for Disney Plus because they gambled so much on it. And what he revealed is that, or rather what he doubled down on, is that from 2024, from next year, he promises that there's going to be money in Disney Plus. The number of subscribers, even though there's no real growth. Now, to be fair, like that 2.4 million loss of subscribers, that's mostly in India, because they lost like this batch thing right there.
Hotstar.
Yeah, exactly. In North America, there is still growth. However, it is anemic, and that is even with all of the tricks in the books. So probably there's a detraction of subscribers there as well. So they were able to paint a picture of it's actually grown by 200,000 in this quarter, which is anemic for one thing, and it's probably not true, not really for the other. So, but still, they have blown so much money on content for Disney Plus. So the only way they can make this profitable is by making cuts. And to me, the big thing that Iger announced was that they're going to cut the pot for content creation across the board. This is Marvel, this is Star Wars, this is Pixar, this is everything. It's going to be cut by $3 billion.
So does that mean less content or just lower quality content?
Yes. What it
We
means
both-
is that it means two things.
We're
One,
already getting that.
Yeah.
We can't go much lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had
It's gonna be-
She-Hulk.
Yes.
It's going to be less money for each individual thing. Like, for instance, in She-Hulk, you saw how they were like joking that just turn the camera way over here while we make the transformation, because we don't have money for it. They may have been half joking then. They're not going to be joking for going forward. So, because there's going to be less money for each individual project that they are making. But so many things that they were planning on making are just going to have to be scrapped. Because think about it, $3 billion. That's essentially the cost of a full Marvel face that won't be made now in the next 5 years.
Isn't the total like they need to cut 5.5 billion?
Across the board, yeah. And the 7,000 employees they're cutting, they're part of that. But specifically, just for content creation, this is what we're
Insane.
going to see on screen. That's $3
So
billion.
we can kiss goodbye to that Ryan Johnson Star Wars trilogy then.
I think we
guess.
can.
Oh no.
Not
What
only
a
that,
shame.
you may even kiss goodbye to the Leslie Headland Acolyte series. Maybe they don't have money for that. They
Well,
certainly don't have, might not have money for Damon Lindelof's Star Wars project.
What happened to the Lando show? Remember the Lando show they announced?
Was it going to be
Oh,
him,
yeah.
him and
Oh,
the
Glow,
droid
right?
by Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a solo Lando show done
They
by
probably
some
couldn't afford
critical race
Phoebe
theory
Waller-Bridge, yeah.
writer. Yeah.
Because she probably was going to be like the real star of it, knowing Lucasfilm, right?
Well, I
Yeah.
guess this is the question then. Is this like a kind of backdoor way of saying like we're going to cut out all the woke shit that we've been
No.
pushing?
Hell no.
Because you could, it would have been the perfect opportunity
It
for that. Just like, well, we
would've.
wanted to do this show, but we just don't have the funds anymore, so we're gonna have to can it for now.
Yeah, no, that stays. Because if you all recall, I'd send you the clip if I had it here. But this was actually the day after Iger came back after his coup d'état of the company. There was like this Disney town hall, and he was asked about being good and moral and everything like that, and trying to balance this with what audiences wanted. And what he had to say is that we can't lose this. Like, Disney is all about being woke. No, he didn't use those exact terms. He basically gaslit everyone, and he spoke about like Disney's long tradition of like social messaging, which is total bullshit. They didn't have that until like the last 5 years. But he pretended that they always had that, meaning the modern day wokeness. And then he concluded with, we can't lose that. We just can't lose that, even if we lose money. And he basically said that, well, we can't be as woke. We need to make some level of money here. So it's going to be some give and take between what the audience wants and what we, the woke folk, wants. So, yeah, no, that ain't going anywhere. Maybe the only thing that's going to happen, and this is something that Kevin Feige said in another interview, in a podcast with, I don't remember the name of the podcast, but he basically also said that what we have learned is that we have to entertain audiences first. It doesn't help what beautiful messages we put into the movies and the TV series if people aren't entertained. So we need to entertain people while pushing the message.
Yep.
So that's what they're going to
I
try
mean,
to do.
it's so funny that they had to learn that lesson. It's like you work for a fucking entertainment company, mate. What
I
did
would
you think
argue-
you were there for?
Yeah, it feels like entry level, but okay. fair
I
enough.
would argue that's what they think they're doing though. Like already.
Right.
Like they've already given enough ground. Like they're going full steam ahead with Echo. Got delayed for a year, and that Harkness show, the Marvels, thank God, is coming out in a few months. Can't wait. I've got it marked on my calendar, counting the days like it's
Awesome.
Christmas.
Release the trailer, you fucking cowards.
Yeah. No, I guess we're getting one during the Super Bowl.
I think it will be. Is that this
Getting one
weekend?
during the Super Bowl.
I guess you are right, Gary, because like it was part of the fucking narrative in She-Hulk that they make the perfect content, right? The algorithm,
Yep.
it just sorts it all out. It's like, how's that algorithm doing now?
Yeah.
Because I want it said as part of this whole thing with the whole streaming thing. Like, if they had made nothing but good TV and good movies, I still wouldn't have expected like super success with how much effort and money they put into it. But sadly for them, they made a bunch of terrible shit, so it didn't really matter. Like The idea that you put out a whole bunch of, like, if all the Marvel movies and shows were really good, I don't know that they would have gotten the numbers they were looking for.
No.
Right.
There's still too much of it. You're right. Like it's spamming content at this point. So they're still raking. It's kind of it's spamming anything. You'll get better numbers. They did this in comics too. This spam with variants and stuff. So it's the Hollywood version of it because you have fewer people going. You know, we've all talked about it, but the Hollywood ticket sales, the theater ticket sales are down almost 50% from 2018. So that's a big problem. And I tweeted about it today because I'm never letting this go. I hated the fact that taxpayers bailed out movie theaters during COVID. That freaking pissed me off. I hate taxation as theft. That's it. And I hate bailing out giant corporations that should just fail. You know, we did that with the banks. Then we did with freaking movie theaters. And now they're all failing 2 years later, like we all knew they would. When Hollywood had enough money, go bail those damn things out yourself. You need them. You need them more than we do. So now, you know, AMC is doing the European model of ticket pricing, which makes sense because Hollywood has provided them nothing, given them nothing to put out in their theaters. They have Avatar and what, Ant-Man, which will be a blip for like a week. And we had to subsidize that, which just, man, gets under my skin. But yeah, this is all like all their chickens are coming home to roost now. All this shit is happening. The thing is, your woke Hollywood revolution ended up needing capitalism all along. Too bad it failed. Fuck off.
Yeah, kind of. But basically, that's kind of like the gist of it. That they're going to have to cut a ton of money and the reason. And this is something that I was annoyed to see everyone kind of ignore. But the reason they have to make these cuts is the wide-scale audience rejection. And it's specifically of the entertainment wing. That is why that's where they have to cut the $3 billion. It's because people are no longer going to see Marvel movies the way that they did. Like half the audience have been Thanos'd away. For Lucasfilm, it's more than half the audience is failing on Disney Plus. And this year, Pixar drove away audiences with Lightyear, and Disney Animation drove away even more audiences with Strange Worlds. And they're
that was a
messaging.
shocking movie. Like 175 million budget, and they made about 20 million from it.
Even the dog was handicapped. It's like unbelievable. You couldn't make a better parody if you tried to.
Wow. Yeah, wasn't it? It was like less than a year ago too that one of the Disney execs said, "Oh, we're gonna make sure 50% of characters are LGBT or something like that."
Guys just noped right out of this. It's weird because he was just staring like this, like right at the camera for ages, and then just gone.
It was intense for a minute there.
It absolutely was. But yeah,
Too much intensity.
Strange World. It might as well have been called SJWs in Space, because that's exactly what it is with or what it was with a handicapped dog, and anyone straight there was an aberration to the normal. So it was very agenda driven, and the audience are not having it. So now they have to cut budgets. They have to be smarter with what they're making. Oh, here's another funny thing. Smarter with what they're making. You know what? How Iger is going to fix this for Disney Animation, for Pixar. They're going to make like a new golden age, more great original content, more classics like Frozen, stuff like that. Nope. Sequels.
Yeah.
Get Toy Story 5, Frozen 3, Zootopia number 2. That's the magic bullet to solve this.
So do you think oh sorry. I don't know.
No, on you go, Melanie.
But what do you think about like Tim Allen saying like, "Oh, I'm coming back as Buzz Lightyear"? Do you think that was kind of like a thing on Disney to announce this? Let's try to smooth things over with people who have kind of given up on us.
I mean, he should have been in Lightyear.
I know.
Yeah.
I never understood the reasoning. Like, people were like, well, but the idea is that in universe, the Buzz Lightyear toy that Tim Allen does the voice for is based on a movie that comes out in universe, and so the actor that plays that guy in that movie doesn't have to be Tim Allen. It's like, why not though?
Well,
Right.
the real reason, not just that. Yeah, but is the real reason not that Tim Allen's like slightly conservative leaning?
That's the real reason.
It would be that,
totally
and
out of.
Chris Evans theoretically has. Is it Chris Evans that voices him?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has more star power theoretically, but I don't think
Yeah,
he
he
actually
totally
did it.
doesn't know.
It
It's like
didn't
take
help.
Chris Evans out of Captain America, and it's just he's not got it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean,
exactly
and-
right.
It's a point Anthony Mackie made as well, right? And a couple people have, like, I think Quentin Tarantino was one of the latest to do it, and he pissed off Simu Liu with the whole, you guys, like, it's almost like you've got a paving of what kind of fame you have. It's not for, like, acting as a star or taking on characters necessarily. It's just like, you are this hero now. That is your fame. It's a very different environment.
Well, yeah, it's like people
got
don't
upset
go
about
to the cinema to see actors or movie stars. They go to see characters now. It's like, oh, you've heard that the latest Iron Man movie's coming out or whatever it might be. It's like, yeah, you don't care so much about who's playing that person. It's just, it's just the character.
It feels so manufactured as a star power as well, right? Like oh man, Simu Liu is a star. It's like, what do you mean why? It's like, well, he was that guy from that thing.
From that
yeah, but
Canadian comedy show, right?
It's
I'm back.
exactly like, it's like a bunch of people who've never met each other thrown together, do a talent contest, and they get put into a manufactured pop group. You know, like we got in the UK, like you've got over in America. It's like fucking
Like Led Zeppelin.
yeah.
They
it's
were
just-
a manufactured pop group, by the way. Just wanted to let y'all know. Wasn't joking about that one. It's true. Like the Monkees.
You know, you're saying the audience has been Thanos snapped. It's like you're completely correct for so many reasons that we're going to be talking about today. But I was also thinking about how Phase 4, because we've talked about this on other streams. How many projects are in Phase 4? Is it? I want to say
17.
17, something like that. Yeah.
Way
you know,
too many.
So you think about it, and it's like, what can keep people invested? It's like, well, individual stories that are just good, and so they reliably are like same IP. I'll get more good stuff, and then some in building to a big story. Obviously, endgame success is the combo of those two things. I would say Phase 1, 2, and 3 leading up to them. It is actually fucking nuts. That you're like, oh, okay, so let's pretend we was from Endgame. You would time traveled over to here, and you're a huge Marvel fan. It's like, you've got TV show, movie, TV show, movie, and up to No Way Home movie, Moon Knight TV show, MOM movie, She-Hulk TV show, Thor movie, What If TV show, Miss Marvel TV show, Werewolf by Night, I guess special, Black Panther movie, Secret Invasion is on the way, it's not there yet, and then Guardians special. It's like, I've got all of that, and what's the story being built? It's like, oh, well, no, wait till Ant-Man and we'll start up the story.
Yeah, we actually have the answer to that. Kevin Feige, he addressed that when he was like asked after the fact, like, what the hell was the point with Phase 4? Because nothing happened of any kind of significance. And then he admitted that, oh, it was just about new introductions.
It was about
to all these
experimentation.
char-
Yeah, it was bringing a bunch of new characters. None of you have to
Yeah,
care
there
about.
was
none of them
next
stuck.
Avengers.
Well, isn't some of it down to James Gunn having to take a hiatus from Marvel?
Yes.
Because he was supposed to be the guy in charge of the multiverse phase.
Yeah.
And then all those unfortunate tweaks surfaced, and he had to go bye-bye for a little while. And so there was no driving force really behind Phase 4. It was just then a bunch of meandering
I have a theory.
stuff.
I have a theory that Gods and Monsters is a repurposed phase from fucking Marvel. That's what because it sounds like it really would have fit.
You know,
in Phase
they
4.
regret it. They regret it. They're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, we shouldn't have temporary You either cancel or you don't. You don't temporary cancel someone. What is that?
They're gonna be a little pissed about it, and they are like they are not happy with. They're working together. Like James Gunn went back out of loyalty for the cast and crew, right?
Yeah.
He is not happy with Disney. And you even saw, I don't know if you saw the interview, Andrei. It was during last Marvel thing. We'll just say last Marvel thing. And he was being interviewed about James Gunn. And he goes, well, James Gunn still has to work 7 months for us.
Yeah,
And it didn't sound nice at all.
No.
Yeah.
That's, and then he finished with like, and after that, I'll be first in line to see whatever he does. I was like thinking, whoa, that's some hostility right there. I mean, that you could feel that passive aggression that there was. And you are, of course, entirely right. The whole plan for Phase 4 initially was that it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to begin with Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. One point in time, that was supposed to be the beginning of Phase 4, and then it was going to go cosmic. And James Gunn was going to be, if anything, the main architect behind it. And probably it was going to be amazing. But then Alan Horn, being the idiot that he was, he went and he fired James Gunn on a whim, thinking that this was the right thing to do, and they could just replace him on Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 with another director like they've done on 20 other movies. Boy, was he mistaken, because that, I submit, destroyed the MCU. Of course, it was going down the drain anyway with Kevin Feige being completely woke, but I don't think it would have been so bad if we could have gotten a series of cosmic movies led by James Gunn. Wouldn't have been so bad. But instead, that didn't happen, and then they had to scramble to come with all these other projects. That's when Victoria Alonso, who is super duper woke, when she suddenly got the Battlefield promotion, because all of these movies that have come out in the last few years, Thor, Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they weren't overseen by Kevin Feige. They were overseen by Victoria Alonso. She was the one who was there on set. She was the one who approved the script and everything. She was the day-to-day producer on them. She obviously doesn't have what Kevin Feige once did.
Yeah, I mean, even he doesn't have what he once did.
Yeah.
No.
He's just a burned out shell of a man. Like, too much superhero stuff.
I mean, like,
I just
Phase 4 burned all the fuel from Phase 3. It's gone.
Not only that, there's more to it, actually. Because when you go back to all of the best Marvel movies, Kevin Feige is the one that gets credit for it, but actually there was a full team behind him. Just like George Lucas with the original trilogy. It wasn't him alone. He had Marsha Lucas and many others.
Gary Kurtz
along the way. Exactly. And same thing with Kevin Feige. One of the perhaps most important people was one Ike Perlmutter, who was there behind the scenes, always keeping Kevin Feige in check.
Yep.
And
then the lies got spun. Now, Perlmutter did say he absolutely did, and he's not wrong that like we can't do a Captain Marvel movie because like girl action figures don't sell, which is I'm sorry, it's true.
Right.
It's just true to boys. But they tried to put Black Panther on him, which is just that's a lie. He tried to develop a Black Panther movie with Wesley Snipes. Tried very hard. So that was a lie. So that was Iger found a way to push Perlmutter out by essentially calling him, saying he was a racist.
They basically smeared him. They smeared him and they got him out.
And what he was a huge Trump donor. He was a huge Trump supporter.
He's a personal friend of Trump.
Yes. And he's like really aloof, doesn't like pictures being taken, doesn't give interviews or anything. But he's pissed. Well, Iger admitted it today in an article that he's mad the way we took him out.
Yeah. And Perlmutter, he also even wanted to get rid of Kevin Feige back in 2015. But he was outmaneuvered by Feige, who ratted up with Iger, and the two of them were able to get rid of Perlmutter instead. At that point, Kevin Feige was completely unopposed. He had all the power over all things Marvel, and what he did with it is basically the same thing that George Lucas did with the prequels. He had the same basic ideas, but now he was unchallenged by anyone that could keep his more wild, aloof, and woke ideas in check. He removed the control mechanism. And you didn't see it right away. It took a few years, but that's when the problems came. So like everything up until Infinity War, all of that was with Perlmutter still there. Phase 4 and all the madness, well, that's pure Feige and the people that he chose to promote to replace James Gunn.
Can I just say as well, I would have loved to have seen a Black Panther with Wesley Snipes in it.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Epic. Yeah. And he got Marvel out of bankruptcy, right? And then we got Blade. We got the X-Men. We got Spider-Man. And Kevin Feige was there. He worked under Avi Arad, who's a weirdo too. But they're all weirdos in Hollywood. They're all freaking weirdos. And yeah, Feige basically took over the MCU, as Andrei said, right after Civil War, during or right after Civil War. And
right before. Right before Civil War.
So-
Civil War was the instigating event.
Yeah.
Because that's where what happened with Civil War is that Kevin Feige, he saw that, oh shit, this is DC, they are planning Batman v Superman, and all we have is a generic Captain America Part 3. We have to counter Batman v Superman. So I want to bring in Captain America, I want to bring in Iron Man, I want to make it a mini Avengers movie, and we're going to do this. To which Perlmutter said, are you crazy? That's going to cost way too much. Ain't no way we're doing that. We have a plan. Let's stick to it. Kevin Feige didn't like that response. And Perlmutter didn't like the opposition. That's when the two really clashed. And when Perlmutter wanted to get rid of Feige. Then Feige allied himself with Iger, and that was the end for Perlmutter.
That was it.
And then we got the Civil War, that we got this huge mini Avengers movie. But the plan that they had was deviated from.
I liked it. I
I
totally liked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's worth
Yeah.
mentioning that it comes after Age of Ultron, which a lot of people felt on. Like
But that was, I mean, there was tons of interference on that with
the Whedon stuff, yeah.
on the Whedon stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all kind of an amazing disaster. Like, the people always shit on the DCU for being a disaster, but Marvel was like, it's like a horrible disaster with a really good paint job, I guess.
Yeah, they got rid of their comic book brain trust. This was all during the Netflix era too, when that stuff was starting out. But then Marvel and Disney quietly stopped supporting those shows. That's why their budgets go down and they all kind of suck after that, because they're like, oh, we're gonna do our own streaming service and have our own thing. So let's get the hell out of this as quick as we can.
Yeah. But it was also mutual on Netflix end, because from Netflix point of view, they were the ones that canceled the shows instantly after Bob Iger basically announced that we're going to do Disney Plus and we're going to become a competitor to Netflix.
But you saw the season. I mean, like Daredevil season 3 is like, it's probably the best of the later seasons of any of the shows, but it's still not. It's nowhere near as good as season 1 and 2.
Not quite there.
Not even close.
I didn't actually like season 2 all that much either.
I like half of season 2.
I loved it.
Season 2,
the magical ninjas and stuff just really started.
The hand is fucking
Punisher
awesome.
half.
I
We
love
can all
the
agree
hand.
the Punisher half was good.
Yeah, I agree. And you just enjoy that, because the rumor is that, speaking of Daredevil, you didn't like season 3 on Netflix. Well, you're gonna miss it when we get to Marvel's Daredevil, because the plan is that you now have Echo, and Echo is the series that's going to lead into Daredevil. And Daredevil.
What?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's not going to be a completely standalone thing. No. It'll be set up by Echo. So she's going to be there. She-Hulk is going to be there. It has all of these SJW.
Oh God! Please make it happen.
W
Sounds
writers.
amazing.
We'll have content for weeks.
And this is unconfirmed, but apparently John Bernthal is going to be back as the Punisher. In
How?
their
Marvel
Are they going to
version
give him?
of
Are they going to give him that new look? Is he going to
That
have
is
the
what
new scope.
scares
the
shit
katanas
out of me.
and?
Because in the comics they made him a ninja now. They made him a member of the Hand.
He's going to be like a toxic male that needs to work through his anger issues over a nice soy latte.
Punisher
Well,
season 2
maybe
was-
I can
he
see it, man.
goes after the fans in the intelligentsia. That could happen.
Yeah.
What a joke!
What it's
Like-
gonna be like they hate the Punisher. I don't like.
Mhm.
They don't know what to do with him. He represents everything they hate. So they took away one of the most iconic symbols to own the chuds, to own the Republicans and the cops. It's like so weak. There's it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be absolutely terrible. Just enjoy those 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix. The season 1 is the best thing Marvel will have ever done
I agree.
in live action. Period.
Yeah. I agree, and also enjoy season 2 for the Punisher, because
I
was
love
really,
season
really
2.
good
It's very
Punisher.
comic book. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
And
The
it's like that and Punisher Warzone is like the most Punisher thing you're ever going to get in live action.
I love Punisher Warzone.
Ray
Yeah.
Stevenson, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the Ray Stevenson one. That is the most. That's actually the only live action iteration of the Punisher to get his origin story right. Not even the Netflix series did that.
Yeah, here's it. Like, doesn't Bernthal want to come back? But as long as it's like the Netflix series, because I think he is quite protective of this character.
That's what he said, and this is why I'm hoping that those rumors are not true, because either they got to him, they were able to give him a deal that he couldn't say no to, or it's all bullshit, and I'm kind of like hoping for that. What I don't think is going to happen is that Marvel is going to give him the kind of Punisher that he wants to do. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I don't see them using guns. Remember, they took away guns in Falcon and Winter Soldier because they didn't want to. So they just had him stabbing everybody to death.
That's much better.
Much better way to die.
Yeah.
except for the villainous John Walker, who he was killing people pretty well, you know. So he didn't have a gun, did he? Or did he? Did he have a gun? Because Cap had a gun in his originals.
He had a sidearm, I think, and then he used the shield to just bludgeon people to death quite a lot of the time.
It's funny, there's videos on YouTube of like Cap's kill count. It's like a lot of people like to pretend he never killed anybody. Like when John Walker kills someone.
Cap does not have a no-kill thing.
No, he doesn't. He kills the fuck out of people.
Yeah,
I mean, you take a vibranium shield to the face, like you're going down, I think.
Well, do you guys remember?
Superman Cap will freaking kill you.
One of the best kills I think Cap has is in Winter Soldier, where he kicks a guy on a boat, and he flings back into the side of the boat and breaks his spine and falls over the back of it. And so you know that he would have fallen in the water and had half his body not wicked at least, and just on the ground.
God.
It's like, yep. It's like Cap's like, hey man, fight for the wrong side. You win stupid prizes, I guess.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, like part of the maneuvering that's been going on at Disney was I don't think we'd covered this quite yet. Was an investor called Nelson Peltz, who's an activist investor who wanted to get a seat on the board at Disney to basically call for a vote of no confidence in Iger, which has now been forestalled by like what Iger has agreed to do with his cost cutting. So it seems like he's kind of caved a little bit to what Peltz fundamentally wanted, which is a return to profitability through cost cutting.
Hey, could we make money again, please?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy idea.
There's actually a little bit more to that. There's actually quite a bit to unpack there. First, let's begin with the term activist investor, because that's something I think that some will be confused by. Because when we say the term activist in our circles, we usually refer to crazy SJW,
blue hair
authoritarian, who is fighting to make the world a worse place to everyone. That's what we usually mean when we say activist. But that is not what activist investor means. Within the jargon used within banking and finance, an activist investor really is only a shareholder who has a significant stake in a company, but who is not on the board, but then tries to use their share to enforce a new direction for the company, usually by getting onto the board. This takes us to the term proxy battle. Proxy battle is then basically that this shareholder goes to all of the other shareholders, or at least the other shareholders that can be convinced, and asks them to vote for this shareholder, and then kick someone else off the board to put this person there instead, so that they then get on the board and can sway the board and change company policy from there. This is something that Nelson Peltz has a long history of doing. He acquires a position in the company, uses that to leverage himself to get onto the board, and then he makes the company profitable. So if you are a shareholder and Nelson Peltz gets into that company, then vote for him, because he's going to make you more money. This guy has a tradition of doing that. Now, what you said about him doing a vote of misconfidence in Bob Iger Maybe that's what he ultimately wanted to do, but there's no evidence to actually support that. He started a campaign with a website and everything called Restore the Magic, where he laid out in detail exactly what he wanted to do and also what he did not want to do. And one of those things was to evict Bob Iger. He was happy with Bob Iger to be there for the 2 years that he is supposed to be there, but he did demand a plan of succession to get someone more fit onto the CEO position after Iger, and also a number of measures to ensure profitability for the company, and also to reinstate dividend payments because they were frozen last year here. And obviously, some kind of backdoor dealings must have taken place. Because I've seen some articles that try to pretend like, Iger outmaneuvered him completely and he stomped him to the ground. And no, Iger, he gave in completely on everything. He gave Peltz everything he wanted. Obviously, something must have happened behind there because, like, the first 10 minutes in Iger's speech, they were all about addressing the exact points that Peltz wanted, what he had said in public, that this is what I want to do. And that's kind of what Iger laid out. This is what we're doing. At that point, Peltz no longer needs to be on the board because Iger has already given in to his demands. Quite possibly because he knew that if I don't do this, then Peltz is going to be successful and get on the board. And then maybe that would spell the end for Iger.
And he still owns a lot of stock too.
Yes,
that
and
helps.
that stock has now increased a shit ton in value because of this. Because this is something that we need to focus on. Because although you had like revelations, like that they're going to cut $3 billion worth of content, still the share price actually increased afterwards. Not because of the entertainment content, but because of the good numbers of the parks. Which, ironically, is because of measures that Bob Chapek did, not Iger.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The layoffs helped too, and the hope. I mean, like it went up. Didn't it bump a little bit when Bob Iger was announced? And then it went right back to reality.
Yes, exactly. You had all the excitement because everyone were like taken in by the, let's call it psyop in the media, with the entirety of the entertainment media complex being dead against Chapek, being against everything he wanted to do.
Because he was just like the cynical money man, wasn't he? He was like, I'm not really into the ideology. I'm not trying to preach messages.
Correct.
Like, my job is to just make a profitable company. It's crazy, I know. And so, from that moment, he had a target on his back.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that what Iger is doing now is basically just continuing what Chapek had already started.
Yeah.
Is it possible to understand him as a fall guy, and that maybe he even knew that?
Maybe that's what a lot of people suspected. I mean, even Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers brought that up. Like the day we did a live stream, and we're like, this is, Bob Iger's bailing out right before COVID because he's a coward. And he was right. He came back. Said he didn't want to. I don't want to come back only for 2 years. Bullshit. Your presidential aspirations took a crap, so you want to come back and protect your legacy because your company is failing based on all the shitty moves you made, including Fox, which was it's going to bury them. Their parks have been saving their ass and always have been saving their ass. And then you find out how big this company is. Hotstar being in India, that was a cricket. Cricket, I guess, is pretty big in India. So they lost that. They lost that contract. So that's where a lot of the subscriber loss is. But they're also hiding a lot of other bullshit. I mean, they're just, like I said before, if any of these shows were that successful, you would know all the numbers. If She-Hulk was being watched by 20 million people per night, you would know. They would go, look at these numbers, but the reason they don't show you the numbers, they don't even show them to the creatives who work on them. That was a little surprising. Like, not even the higher up creatives. They don't even show them to them. That should tell you everything.
But even with the parks, like, didn't they lose their special tax status in Florida?
Yep,
So
they-
like that was a massive hit
Oh.
to them because that was saving them an absolute fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Because they decided to go to war with the fucking governor who's a Republican. Yeah,
Yeah.
smart move, guys. Well done.
There was a corporation that was pretty much autonomous in this country that could run itself, police itself, regulate itself, which is insane. And I kind of like that. I'm a decentralized guy, less government better. But if it hurts Disney, who's acting like a government amongst themselves, fuck them. Good for DeSantis to do that and not lay it on Floridians. Now Disney has to pick up the tab. They were trying to push that people from Florida, the taxpayers from Florida, were going to have to pick this up. That was bullshit, and that got taken care of. And now they're going to be regulated by Florida, and they just lost like the sweetest deal because they got involved in one political hot button issue that was completely misrepresented by I know this doesn't surprise anybody, the mainstream media. That was just, hey, let's not get sexual with 6-year-olds. Can we just not do that, please?
But it's weird because Chapek's first move was to just not get involved. Like his entire
That's
mindset
exactly
was
Smart move.
we're an entertainment company. It's not our job to get involved in local political issues or anything like that. And of course, the activists that worked at Disney threw an absolute hissy fit, staged protests. They were all covered and amplified by the news media. And so within a matter of days, Chapek has to cave in and say, no, we're fully against this bill that we don't care about in the slightest, but we have to pretend that we're against it. And then, yep, that's it. Well, the governor of Florida was like, well, fine, if you're against me, then I'm against you. You're going to lose your special privileges that you've been enjoying for all these years. And it's such a dumb thing to do. Like, why go to war with people that can absolutely ruin your business?
Well, there's more to it actually, because it's easy to say that it was the activists, but it wasn't just the activists. They were organized, and they were organized by Peter Rice, and behind him, Bob Iger was always there, stirring trouble behind the scenes, undermining Chapek at every turn. And in that particular case, there was a whole well-orchestrated campaign against Chapek within Disney. Again, with websites, with flyers, with demand letters. That's why Chapek had to cave the way that he did, because he was pressured into a corner where he basically had to give in to the demands or be fired on the spot.
Isn't it funny that, Chapek was around when Gina got fired, and the same thing fucking happened to him.
Ooh.
The organization from within, it was Disney employees creating websites, all kinds of shit, struggle sessions, same shit.
Disney's very own deep state.
Yep.
Well, here's one. Not sure if you guys have played Final Fantasy VII, but Disney is basically the Shinra Corporation at this point. If they start getting into power and energy distribution, yeah, you'll know. Yeah, we've got this great idea for Mako reactors.
I don't get it.
De
I
facto
don't get it.
government.
I'm like Captain America and Avengers. I don't get it.
Gary, you boomer.
Yep.
We'll get you there one day, man. Don't worry.
Final Fantasy? There's 7 of them? Yeah, I'll never get there.
There's been like 20
Way
of
more
them
than
at this
seven.
point.
There's 20? Nah.
One
I'll play Hogwarts and Witcher. Be fine.
There you go.
day you'll get through that door. That'll be all right.
I will get.
Okay.
Hey, there's a spell. There's a charm in Harry Potter. Does it work in Harry Potter? I'm sorry, Hogwarts. Alohomora. Does it work? Does it only unlock the door or does it open the door?
That's the funny thing about it is I'm a gamer and not much of a Harry Potter.
Okay.
I don't know
We'll
that
find
much
out.
about the Harry Potter universe. I can tell you about what I've played in Hogwarts Legacy, but how
Well, don't you
much
have a
is
broom
like Harry
already?
Potter?
Don't
Yes,
you have
I got my broom yesterday.
right
but
on.
I encountered the glitch though that there's a certain glitch that some people are getting where it makes all the voices really deep. It's not going to get fixed till day one patch, so I'm waiting until tomorrow to play it again.
Hey, if it unlocks the doors, I can get through them. Okay,
Okay.
I can get through them.
Can you get up the transphobic staircase though? That's
Maybe
what Mo and
not.
I
Yeah,
wanna
that's
know.
the question.
That's the challenge.
I'm transphobic, so I guess I can't.
the one thing that no one can overcome.
I will say
I like this
again,
idea
That
as
is
well,
from the books, by the way. That is absolutely from the books. It's-
Okay.
yeah.
Huh? The white materia summons the Omega bigot, the ultimate bigot. Let me ask you guys about Last of Us,
Oh god.
because I know most of the people here have seen it, and you're probably up to date on episode 4. So, where are you guys with it now? How are you feeling about it so far?
I was over it after episode 1, and I kind of checked out after that because I'm like, the game tells the story so much better. I'd rather just play the game again.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one because, yeah, I think the game so far has probably done a better job for the most part.
Mhm.
I don't think the show's bad. Like, I think it's a pretty solid adaptation. And it's had, like, occasional little flashes of brilliance, but I'm still not quite buying into the Ellie and Joel dynamic here.
Right.
I'm still not loving their relationship, and I'm not loving the actors. And I think episode 4 was going to be the one that's the episode that was really going to sell us on this, because it's the first time it's an entire episode of the two of them together just interacting
Okay.
with each other.
So after the episode 3 filler episode, we're back to Joel and Ellie now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And-
Is Tez still alive?
No.
Oh, I'm
She's
shocked. I thought they were gonna. I thought they were gonna keep her around longer. Okay.
No, she was out of the game by the end of episode 2.
Well, okay, so they actually stayed more accurate. I'm surprised about that. That's good though.
It's pretty accurate to the
Okay,
game so
That's
far.
good. That's good. I like that. Maybe I should start watching it again.
I mean, yeah, like don't force yourself. Like, it's you're not missing the ride of a lifetime or anything on this one, but it's it's pretty solid. I'll say that. Like, I've got respect for the work that they put in on this one. There's a lot of little references to the games, and some of it is just like shot for shot, perfect.
Okay. So with episode 3, did you feel tricked into watching the episode as they say?
No, because I think they told a good story with that.
Mhm.
And I think it was a pretty heartwarming story, I guess. Amongst all this horrible shit that's going down, like just two people that still are clinging on to the last remnants of civilization, I suppose.
Okay.
And I think when they check out, ultimately that's the last vestiges of like the old world that you used to know, and it's all gone. I thought that was pretty well done.
Fun! Yay!
So Mahler, how do you feel about it? Because I know when we talked about it last, like you liked the first episode, and I was one of the more critical sides
I
of
was
it.
gonna let y'all cook, okay?
Okay, now it's your turn to cook.
I think it's easily good. Like, I use that word very deliberately, okay? I'm not saying great. It is
Okay.
good. It's more than solid. After episode 4, I think it's really come together now. I got all the elements I was looking for.
Solid does mean good, Mahler.
Does it? I don't know anymore. Words are difficult.
Well, solid's like a 7 out of 10, between 6 and 7 out of 10. That's the way I interpret it.
Well
Yeah.
done, yeah.
Yeah.
Not spectacular, but not bad. Just,
So,
reliable.
I didn't see episode 4. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Well, a lot of
all I
people
can say.
didn't like episode 4 too. I'm seeing this show is one of the most divisive shows I've seen in a while. It's given lots of people pause for thought in all kinds of ways. I think episode 1, 2, 3, 4 as a package makes up for a lot of the things I think that I agreed with a lot of people that were missing. Joel and Ellie was the big sticking point for me. I was like, you guys are fine, but the game is beating your ass right now. Now I feel like the game's still winning, but that the show is good, and I would probably. The thing I see this as is that I can't tell my parents to go and fucking play Last of Us. They're like,
Right.
"Where's the controller? How's this work?" But I can
That's
tell them to go watch this show, and that they would gain enough from this show.
I identify with your parents, by the way.
They would gain enough from the show that I could actually talk about the meaningful parts of The Last of Us, at least so far, of course. I don't know how this is going to roll out, but a lot of worries have been assuaged, I think. For example, people like being like, oh shit, they're going to drive Tess hardcore into the story. It's like, don't worry, she's dead. Like,
That's a pleasant surprise to me. Okay, I like that they were more accurate with that.
A lot of
But
people worry,
like all
Yeah.
roads lead to the 5-iron. Like,
Exactly.
Well, question then: would you guys recommend people play The Last of Us, even though you know it leads to the 5-iron?
The first one and
no,
leave it
I
at
wouldn't.
that, because I think that the first one
Well, that's
actually
fair
had a
enough then.
great story. Play the first one, leave it at that, let it in there. Then you're good.
Well, so Melly, that's what I'm hoping for, is that this season ends. The last episode is what I'm worried about now. I'm not really
Right.
worried about them adapting the cannibal stuff or Sam and Henry. I think they're going to pretty much do all of that fine, if not to be nailed. It's the ending. That's the part where I'm worried, because you know that they're going to want to set up season 2. You know they're going to tweak shit, and that's where I'm really going to be judgy. But yeah, I was actually quite impressed. I think the last time we talked about this, I was trying to point out things that I think they changed down to individual words that I think are better or worse. And a lot of the time, the game was winning out on these comparisons. But I actually think the show won out on the when Ellie kills someone to protect Joel in the game. She's like, "Whoa, I killed him, huh?" And then Joel's like, "You fucking give me that gun, Jesus! Like, you're supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to hang back. You're not supposed to use the gun." She's like, "Gee, okay, fine, whatever." And then later on, he's like, "Okay, rifle time. I need you to protect me." And you gain a lot of like, "Oh, okay, so he's taking her seriously, and now she's protected." But in the show, something that I really respected that they did was that she kills the guy that's on Joel, and it's not easy. It's not clean. She shoots him in the spine, and so he's crying and begging for his mum while talking about how he can't move his legs. And she's like, obviously shaking, not doing well with it. And Joel is just like, "Go behind the wall now," and then gets a knife, and you just hear him screaming. And she's crying, and I was like, "This is what I needed."
Hey, that
Thank you.
sounds cool though. That actually does sound really good.
I will point out she doesn't actually cry in that scene more. She just kind of looks down like she's disturbed by it.
No, she doesn't cry when she kills him. She cries just after, because that's
well, no,
how
she
it works,
cries
right?
later. I think when Joel kind of presses her on it, because it's kind of like they're talking and he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's trying to put on a brave face, like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Let's just move on."
Wow, Drinker, you're wrong.
Well, I think you'll find that I'm in fact correct.
Do you want me to send you a fucking picture of it, Tia? I had to edit this, okay? So I know.
Yeah, just edit to make sure.
CG tier.
Yeah. And that's when she breaks down, though. The bit when she's hiding behind the wall, I thought she's just kind of like, she can't bear to like look at it, and she's just disturbed by the whole thing. But I didn't see tears there. And maybe it did happen. I missed it, but.
Well, like I said, I had to I make the TV thing, so I have to go back and forth, copyright all this stuff. And part of what I liked about it was that the initial shot, she looks shocked, she doesn't know if she's done the right thing, all that stuff. But then once she's able to process it, go behind the wall, she starts crying, and then Joel's like, "Hey, we gotta go." She's like, "Yep, good to go." Like, sort of. And I saw people sort of using this quote as a frustration. I haven't seen the after episode analysis from the creator of the show or anything, but people were like, "He's completely fucked up Ellie as a character," because there's a quote where he says, "Similarly to Joel, you know, this stuff is clearly having an effect on it, but she doesn't want the outer world to see what that is and stuff." And they were like, "That's not a character." I was like, "I don't know, that sounds about like her and Joel seem like they are both the kind of people that don't really want people to see them weak or vulnerable in any way.
Right, yeah.
I think Game Ellie had a better balance of vulnerability and, you know, defiance and fieriness. I think this version that we got is a bit more stoic and a bit more in control of her emotions. You know, she doesn't quite wear her heart on her sleeve as we did get in the game.
There's a clear downgrade Ellie, as well as I think a downgrade Joel, but I do want to keep in mind those two are pretty damn good in the Last of Us game.
Oh,
so a downgrade from them doesn't mean we're in, you know, horrible territory. It just means we're not as good.
Right.
And so a lot of people end up asking, like, "So what's the point then?" It's like, no, I understand. Like, if you can have both of them, go for the game.
Well, and Tess was way better in the game too, in my opinion, at least from the first episode. I mean, not that I don't think that the actress was bad. I think she did pretty good, but Tess was just awesome in the game.
She dies like the dumbest death in the show.
So does she actually like French kiss the baddie?
Like,
well, I mean,
picture the scene if you could, Melanie. Right? You've been bitten, and so you're infected. You know, you've only got a matter of time before you go. So you send Joel and Ellie away, and you're going to sacrifice yourself to buy a bit of time for them to escape. So you find yourself in a room with drums full of gasoline and boxes of hand grenades. And so what you do is you spilled the drums all over the floor, so there's gasoline everywhere. And you might be thinking those hand grenades might come in quite handy, for finishing the job, as it were. But instead, what she does is she gets a really old, unreliable lighter that doesn't work properly.
Like a Zippo. Yeah.
And she's getting French kissed by this infected that's like all the fungus is going into her mouth, and I don't even know why he's trying to do it, because he must, she's already infected, so I thought they could sense that. And she's trying to light this lighter as she's getting kissed, and it doesn't work. And then on the last attempt, finally it goes, and then she drops it on the floor, and eventually outside you see a giant explosion. But do you have any idea how long it would take for those grenades to cook off and finally blow up?
Yeah.
Because that's a long time to be on fire. Just
No, yeah, I actually said this. She should have taken 2 grenades, popped them both, and just put them next to his skull and just let it go.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, that'd be a much better way to go than burning to death slowly while you're being.
Dude, yes, absolutely. Oh, if you get to live long enough to actually, you'd be staring at those grenades, screaming like, "I'm so fucking stupid. Why did I do it?"
Well, that sounds like a romantic story.
Like
Was that more
Mustafa.
romantic than episode 3? No.
I still maintain as well, I don't love this new mechanism that they've got for the fungus, where it's it comes out of their mouths. I kind of liked it when it was airborne and they had to wear masks if they were going into basements or enclosed areas, in case the spores were in the air. I thought that was cool. It's more nerve-wracking because it's almost to take the showrunner as an example, Chernobyl, where the radiation that's all around you, you can't necessarily see it, but it's slowly killing you if you're not protected from it. And I like that idea of the hidden
Like
threat.
it's in the air. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the classic. I think it's different. I don't think either one's better or worse.
Oh,
I like
stop sitting on the fence, Mullen.
Fucking chill.
I already said.
How much
the
did they
game's
pay you for this? I hope it was worth it.
All of it, all the money. They
He
gave
got
me a copy of
gift
Hogwarts
basket with
Legacy
a cup
too.
holder and a
Well,
Last
I
of Us
mean-
bag.
The first episode with the very opening of it and that interview made it sound like the only reason you could even get infected right now is because climate change. It's like
They
Oh,
were
it was about
clearly
the
alluding to
evolving
that.
fungus, yeah.
that's what it sounded like they were alluding to.
It did, and I really liked that opening to the first
Right.
episode. I thought it was cool
was
until
cool.
they got to the ground temperature gets above 94 degrees. It's that shit happens all the time. What are you talking about?
Well, I think
It's
they
called
said
climate
that,
change for a reason. It
Right.
changes a lot.
I think
We
they
had an
were
ice
saying that
age.
that could be something that might make it evolve, but there would have to be a bunch of other stuff as well. He was only saying it was a potential, obviously, because nobody believed it would actually happen, even in that universe.
I was
It was just an idea, right?
I was kind
In
of
the
taken back
70s.
by how old John Hannah looks now. I was like, oh
Yeah.
damn, time has not been kind to you, sir.
Well, maybe it
Hollywood.
has. How old is he?
Well, I remember seeing him in Spartacus, and that's only a few years ago, and he still looked.
Dude, Spartacus
pretty young
was
in
a
that.
decade ago.
Oh no,
You're getting old, buddy.
I am getting.
I'm not the only one.
No.
One of us. One of
Yeah.
Um,
No, I won't be able to open doors soon.
Dude, how good was Spartacus? I freaking love that show.
It was great.
That was amazing.
Loved it back in the day.
I will say though, with Spartacus, I have never seen a show that started so slow and so bad in the first few episodes, to then make such a complete 180
Shift in the gear.
recovery
Yeah,
in
it's
the
crazy.
middle
Yeah.
of season 1, and the end of season 1 there. My God, what a pulse pounding conclusion!
Mind blowing. Yeah. There's a lot of
Amazing
boobs.
series.
A lot of
helps.
boobs in Spartacus.
It was great. They understood what their
And
audience
full
wanted.
frontal.
They
Let's
did.
not forget it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it was like
Well,
there'd be times when the gladiators are hacking each other to pieces in the arena, and some of the audience are just fucking each other in the stands while it's going
Yeah.
on.
Why not?
Wow.
Those Romans knew how to
Sam
live.
Raimi, it's Sam Raimi produced in the aesthetic of 300, basically.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, the actor for season 1, unfortunately, I'm forgetting the name, it sucked, but died of Hodgkin's after the first season, so they recast him. But it's still good. It's still good. I mean, sad what happened to the actor.
And that's actually a great example of turning lemons into lemonade, because the actor he unfortunately passed, but he was in recovery and in remission when they were supposed to film season 2. That's when we got the prequel series, which, if anything, was one of the best seasons there ever was of the whole series, which then followed the most interesting characters that actually, spoilers, get killed off in the end of season 1, but then we get to see their story, which was honestly more fascinating than the Spartacus story.
Yeah. No, it was good stuff.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
I liked
amazing.
that back in the day.
Yeah,
Not
it was Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Yeah.
the good old days. But not to take us away from talking about the potential of boobies, I was just trying to say that with even in Last of Us Part 2, which by the way is like 99.9 terrible, but the idea that you're chasing someone you fucking hate, two humans, right? But you're both in a place where there's spores, and so you need to navigate it properly until and it actually kind of works in that as a payoff that Ellie is chasing her, so Ellie's immune, but she doesn't know that, the one you're chasing, and so she thinks you're both dead, and then Ellie's like, I'm fine, bitch. You're the one that's going to turn into a fucking zombie. You know, that you can make stuff, payoffs like that work, as well as like, you're in the middle of something else, and then you're like, shit, this is a spore area. With like, I understand the drama that created from that. It can be really good, but of course they've implemented this thing about proximity activation. Like you kill one clicker, and it can activate many more through like a fungal network. I think that could create some big old payoffs, some interesting.
It's the sort of thing you're gonna have to stick to it though. That's a rule that you've established now, and it's like that could be.
Well, the thing is, the way they've established it, they get to manipulate it as much as they want. It's like it has to be like a zombie that dies on the floor that's covered in fungus and stuff. If you do that, so really they get to play with that almost as much as they want. I doubt they'll fuck it up, but they might. You know, keep an eye on them.
I didn't see the episode, but what about the soccer mom who wasn't wearing body armor controlling all the guys who were wearing body armor in the apocalypse?
I mean,
what about it?
Was it dumb? How does it make sense? Because that sounds really dumb.
Well, I mean, cause they're not in a war
was
zone.
Was she their mom? Because that would make sense.
I mean, the location where this is going on, they're not in the middle of a battle, so
okay.
She doesn't necessarily need to be armored.
So the apocalypse is a
so
matriarchy. Okay.
It's kind of I think the actress that they picked maybe wasn't the most commanding presence ever.
Yeah.
Well, the implication I got from it was that she's supposed to be super unexpected and disarming, but she'll kill you in an instant. She thinks you're like a piece of shit, right? Like the history we got, the brief history, I'm assuming we'll get more next episode, is that she led the rebel group against the Fedra agents. They killed a whole bunch of her people, including her brother, and they've since taken over the area from Fedra, and they're now executing people who gave information away that led to the death of the family and stuff. She must have come up with plans or united people, and that's currently why she's a leader. His second in command looks like he trusts her as much as he'll do anything she says, sort of thing. You get that every once in a while here and there. Could be someone that's related to it. I don't actually know. I haven't got much on her. She's in the episode for like 2 minutes.
I mean, it kind of implies that she's very like tunnel vision, because there's Mo and I were talking about this before. We're not entirely sure what it means, but like there's like an underground basement where the floor is like caved in, and there's like shit moving underneath it, but you can't quite tell what it is. But like they both know there's something really serious that's going to happen soon.
It's a bloater. It's going to be a bloater.
Probably, yeah. But
and she's
so
not
focused
gonna,
on.
Yeah, she's gonna fuck up. Dude, I am expecting they have her die to the bloater. I wouldn't be surprised if, because she's told them not to focus on it and to focus on Henry, that's gonna completely backfire. She's gonna say something about vengeance, and then she's gonna get killed. And the point of the episode is gonna be like, don't narrow mind so hard that you get yourself killed or something, right? Like probably, which is why, by the way, wait, that's out tomorrow, right? The next episode, because the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because Super Bowl, it's out tomorrow.
Oh, right. Yep. So it's moved forward, is it?
It has, and it looks like it's gonna be a lot of stuff's gonna happen. I mean, this is the first episode that I've actually looked forward to now. I was kind of like meh on the show, but after episode 4, I was like, okay, I actually care, and I want to see what happens next. So I'm hoping that they can maintain that. That'd be nice.
I like this. It's like that bit in the floor. That's where Abby's being created. She's just gonna smash her way out, like
Abby smash.
I saw people make the joke. It's like, because she kills a doctor, right? It was like, that doctor better not have a daughter called Abby. You better be fucking careful, mate.
She killed a doctor. Hope nobody gets sick.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird choice on her part.
It's a bad move, I think, killing the doctor. But my guess is that she doesn't want to risk him sabotaging her.
Yeah, can't rat's a rat, whether it's a doctor or not.
She does. He does.
Okay.
the doctor card, and she's like, okay, she doesn't, and then she later decides, fuck it.
I sat down to watch it, Mahler. I did, and then my finger went towards watching House of the Dragon again. On
Dude,
the controller.
To be fair, right? If someone said, if you haven't seen anything, and you're like, do you recommend it? I wouldn't recommend the show yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
It's not even. It's not in the same as House of the Dragon was way better at this point. This show is not as good as that, but I need to see it to the end to know if it's even worth seeing.
I should have watched it. I'm watching it so I can discuss it with my friends. If I had a choice, I probably would just be out by now, to be honest with you. But like, as I've said many times, this is not my kind of story. I don't like post-apocalyptic zombie stories where everybody's just horrible to each other and I'm rooting for the zombies by the end. I'm just like, eat everybody. I already went through this with Walking Dead. It's just not my thing. I like the fun zombie stuff.
Okay.
Like Zombieland and Return of the Living Dead, George Romero stuff. That shit's fun. But this is just like more post-apocalyptic nihilism, blah.
Well, you're not wrong on that. I think The Last of Us, an IP, part of its point is that humanity is not. Bear with me on this. Humanity is not worth saving. Individuals are. Like, I think part of what people resonate with at the end is that Joel chooses Ellie over the world.
Yeah.
Because there's a
only
lot of
people
that part I like.
Yeah, I did actually like that part.
That part's like, it's surrogate daughter, because I would
have
choose
that
my son over, no offense, chat, everybody in the world.
No offense, chat.
No offense. No offense to everybody else in the world, but I'd choose my kid. So
yeah,
well,
that was a nice view on paternal love and stuff. But yeah, get ready to have that shit subverted at the end of this season.
Drink at the second the doctor turns up, I'm gonna be staring at the screen like, what are you gonna do? Where's the zebra? Where's the zebra? Come on, where's the fucking zebra?
You're on your own, chat.
You're on your own.
Yeah, man, the scrutiny that final episode's gonna be under is just gonna be ridiculous. It's like you so much as Twitch, and we're done.
I'm not even kidding, man. They get one word wrong, the whole internet's gonna fucking hate them. And I just can't imagine it's gonna end well because they've got plans. They're obviously gonna try and adapt.
What if they just completely do away with Last of Us Part 2? Is that?
Well, they've already casted their Abby supposedly,
oh,
so
really? Well,
yeah.
There's no way they would do that. Neil Druckmann's
exactly.
involved in this as a producer and a director, in fact. So he's never going to disown his greatest creation.
And the thing about it is there's so many writing issues with the opening of The Last of Us 2 in terms of nothing makes any fucking sense in order to kill Joel. It's not that difficult to kill someone in a post-apocalypse, even when they're talented, because you have so many hazards all over the place. But they made it so stupid, and if they adapt it directly, they're fucked. That's just the truth. Like, it's not just Joel dying; it's how not. We talked about this before. You can kill Joel in a way that fans wouldn't hate. It's possible, okay? It's just that you got to be so fucking careful. I remember us covering a guy on EFAB who was like, "Who cares? Nobody likes Joel. Like, he's not beloved." It's like. You might want to.
I even know that. I knew who Joel was. Like, I knew his name, and I didn't play the damn game.
Well, you
but
check
it was
top
just...
10 lists of like characters in that, just famous video game characters. Joel scores high. People really like Joel. He's a fucking. Well, he's a bit of a legend in the first game.
Well,
right?
I mean, the company that created the game was trying to actively ruin YouTubers, like destroy their channels, to keep the spoiler out that they were lying to the audience. By the way, Ryan's brought this up, that they aged up Joel to make it look like he's gonna be in more of the game when he wasn't. By the way, you can't do that anymore. That's now against the law in a trailer. There has to be a certain amount of honesty in your trailer. You can't have characters that don't show up, so that's now against the law. But that's what they did. They lied and they got caught in the lie. So instead of just going, yeah, that kind of happens, you still don't know what happens in the rest of the game. They tried to silence a bunch of YouTubers through a third-party company. Let's not forget that, including some of my friends, some of our friends, Ryan, Jeremy.
Yeah, which is why I don't blame them for having strong feelings about all this. I understand completely.
But like, if the show's like, it's well put together. It is like shot really well. And, like, the cinematography's good and the acting's fine. I mean, I don't think it's extraordinary, but
Honestly, dude, if I was to give one episode away for acting, it would be 4. So
Is Ellie finally good? Because she is not impressive.
it's the only episode I would use to defend her as an actress.
Okay.
The other 3 I wouldn't.
Okay.
Would you though?
Yeah, I don't
wouldn't.
think she's. Well, we put her a number on her. How good is she as an actress after episode 4, or in episode 4, should I say?
I would give her probably a 4 out of 10.
I'd probably give her a 6.
Right.
So yeah.
That's still like, even like taking the most optimistic view, it's still not great. Like,
Well,
the scene where
no, you're
I'll
right.
tell you where she fell down for me, right? The scene where Joe confronts her about how she was dealing with the killing thing, and that was a scene where she really needed to emote, and what she actually did was kind of dropped her head down a little bit, and her face was in shadow, and she kind of covered her, like, the lower part of her face, and it was like masking the fact that she couldn't cry. I think it was trying to make it.
What do you mean?
It was like, I'm gonna contort my face to try and make it look like I am, but I'm clearly not. And it's like they're trying to make it seem
Sent you
like
a
there's more
picture
going on
of
there.
her tears, okay?
There's CGI tears, Mahler. I don't believe you.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think.
You know
I
what I
wouldn't
heard?
blame
Totally off subject. Kurt Metzger. I haven't seen it, so you know that You People movie on Netflix. Kurt Metzger messaged me. He's like, "I'm dying, dude." So apparently, the interracial kiss at the end is CG.
What?
It's a
What?
CG kiss. He's all, haha, they CG'd the big interracial kiss at the end of You People. I'm dying, dude. Which is supposed to be the whole point of the movie. Is that true? If that is true, that is the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. So if you don't know what You People is, Eddie Murphy Netflix movie with a black Muslim family and a Jewish family, and the son is dating the daughter, and there's a marriage, and it's supposed to be, you know, kind of a weird guess who's coming to dinner or whatever kind of thing. And yeah, they CG'd the kiss at the end. I hope that between Jonah Hill and it's what's her name? Lauren London. I don't know if that's. I think that's hilarious. Like they they couldn't kiss in real life.
Why couldn't they do it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's true. Like when he told me that, I'm like, that cannot be true. No.
How do you CG a kiss? Do your faces get this close and then you just you just move
Maybe
your
you
head?
kiss a green, like a guy in a green sock or a girl in a green sock.
They get like close enough, and then they just slide together like.
I don't know.
pictures.
Like again, I don't know if like he shot me that message. I'm like, oh, if that is true.
I'm not
Oh my
familiar
God!
with these
Oh,
actors. It's like, does one of them have like religious conviction or something like that? That would preclude it?
Maybe
Well, they've
it's a
suggested-
COVID thing.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
suggested maybe it was filmed during COVID and like they
Yeah.
couldn't
Oh.
for that reason. Maybe.
Still the whole point.
Yeah.
Well, I think didn't I don't know if this is even true, but I thought at least I heard that The Rock doesn't actually kiss other actresses because you know, him and his wife, they don't want him doing that or whatever. But they use like body doubles. I feel like a body double would be easier than CGing a kiss.
I mean,
You're still-
good luck finding a body double for The Rock as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a
He's not
pretty
like-
good one though, from what I've seen. I remember seeing pictures of people with their doubles. He does have a pretty good
because he's
double.
gay.
Yeah, but Melanie, you know,
That's what the chat
was
said.
actually, that was actually done in Thor: The Dark World towards the very end there,
Mhm.
when Thor reunites with Natalie Portman's
Yeah.
character.
Oh yeah.
She got the body double for the kiss scene there towards the end. Hemsworth's
okay.
wife.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
wig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought that's what The Rock did too. I thought his wife was or either the wife was a double or he had a double who kissed the actors. I don't know.
What a weird thing. It's like they must recognize like it's a job. You know, just because you're kissing someone on
Yeah.
screen, it doesn't mean you're cheating. It's because you're professionally required to do it. Damn, man. It's like, well, I mean, kisses and stuff, they happen so rarely now on screen anyway. Like, even the barest hint of sexual attraction is, like, practically no now.
I know, and like
So,
when they're not
surprised.
filming, they'll kiss anything. Screw anything. You know that.
Exactly.
It's like, what the hell? Sorry to
Jesus.
Sorry, back to Last of Us. Last of Us, great. Cool.
Yeah,
show.
Hey, nobody's saying it's great.
We're just talking about how the actress that plays Ellie Kant acts.
Yeah, she was
And
very
it's
like. Do you think she earned a role, or do you think she
They
got it?
said
'cause she
there was
Game
like
of Thrones girl?
100 people who, 100 girls who auditioned for that, and she won. It's like, did they say the worst one? Let's pick her.
The one that just
Right.
happened to be in Game of Thrones. That was the fan favorite for like one episode. It went way too long and got stupid towards the end. But
There we go. Apparently,
Oh, a tear.
I don't see a tear, dude.
That's my
Motherfucker,
SDG
that is
team.
all I said she did. I don't know whose arguments you guys fighting. Someone in chat was like, a tear is not crying. It's like, call it whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
the thing is, right? You know, everyone knows you get like that
I love the
glycerin
internet.
stuff that like goes under the eye and stuff to make eyes water. So I don't buy that shit.
There's a CGI
Any
tear
actor-
in my CGI beer.
Okay, well, it's not the water that's there that's impressive. It's the fact that I believe she forced it out as an actress, and the face matches it. That's
She
what I'm
was either
talking about.
chopping onions or crying. One of the two in the apocalypse. Okay.
But yeah, to be honest with you as well, like as long as the facial expression is on point, I don't really mind if it's custom water or human water. It's really fine with me.
Human water.
Human water.
Your eyes are leaking human water again. I see.
You're sounding like the Eldridge god that you are. Human water.
I don't know what else you guys call it. It gets confusing, you know.
I've been told that you humans excrete water from various orifices.
But yeah, I was getting a little tired of the sort of smug and like impossible to penetrate sort of personality she had. So I was happy to see her be, first of all, do everything Joel says in that episode. That was refreshing, especially when the chips are down, so to speak. When everything's dangerous, she just shuts the fuck up and does everything he says, which is the kind of shit I want to see. And then, of course, looks to him for like, what am I supposed to do with all this? And he's just like, give me a gun. I got the knife. You go over there. I will sort this out, and then we'll talk about what's happened, sort of stuff. It's like a lot of people were saying like he was kind of been a little bit dragged around by either Tess or her. I thought this episode finally made it clear like he is in charge. You'll let him fuck around a bit, like
Right.
tell the jokes
For
and
like
stuff.
6 more episodes before he gets a 5-iron between his ears.
Hey man, enjoy the episodes. This is what I mean. I would say the same for the games.
Right.
Enjoy the first one, you know, while you can.
Yeah, at least in like there you could just play the first one and not play the second one. That's-
The one thing I'll never understand with this though is like why Joel keeps leaving behind weapons that are far superior to what he's got. Like I don't know if they're just trying to mirror the setup of the game here, but like there's a point, like especially in episode 3, he's got an entire wall of guns, like with all the ammunition that you could ever need, and he chooses like a bolt action hunting rifle. Like now I'm no expert, right? But if I had to choose a gun that's gonna be able to take on fast moving enemies like the infected or other humans with guns who might be running back and forth between cover, it would not be a hunting rifle like that. That would be the worst
Actually,
possible thing you could have.
In the comment section for our coverage of it, loads of people were fighting back and forth on that. Apparently, bolt actions are more reliable. They last longer over time. You can actually refill the bullets, like the shell casings or whatever. It's much more difficult with more regular guns. Apparently, the accuracy and the range are pretty strong with it. The semi-automatic sort of stuff is good for repeat shots, obviously, and crowd control, I guess. But I genuinely have no idea what the answer is. Rags, our resident gun expert, said he would not have chosen the bolt action. So
Okay.
and it's fair as well to say that like surely they need lines addressing this, like him being like, oh, I've chosen this because you know I fucking as opposed to we only see the bolt action from a fucking room with like an army of guns. Yeah, I don't see. Because I saw the argument like, oh, well, he's not going to want to take more than he can carry because they're not going to be able to use the car forever. It's going to get booted out at some point. It's like, yeah, but still, more than just a bolt action, right?
More is always enough in the apocalypse. And
You're
can
gonna
worry
wanna
about
stack
not
it.
having more later.
Yeah, I
stock
think,
up,
like-
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, just the appearance of a military grade assault rifle is going to be enough to deter a lot of people from even taking you on. It's like, yeah, this guy's heavily armed. I'm not going to mess with him. Whereas, yeah, like a bolt action rifle, okay, you take your shot to hit a guy who's running between cover, you miss. Okay, it's going to take you a good several seconds to just reload the thing. You know, during which he can just fire back at you and take you out. Like, that just seems like a really bad weapon for that kind of situation.
Yeah, and I think
for
that we're
taking on the
owed.
infected.
we're owed as the audience like a line of him saying, "I'm the most familiar with this gun," or "I find bolt actions to be super reliable." You know, like something. Just let us know why he's picked that one, because I have no fucking clue, and a lot of people have to just speculate, sort of thing. And then, of course, like, have you taken anything else? Got some pistols? Got maybe a shotgun? Especially for the infected. Like, I don't know. Just fuck them up, right? Like, I don't know. So yeah, I agree with that.
What? Well, hey ho, we do have a bunch of super chats. If you got a bit of time, we can answer some.
Yeah.
All right,
super chats. Let's do some. Jade Light says we need a middle ground when calling stuff woke, and you do it best, Drinker. Not pretending that it doesn't exist, but also not writing off absolutely everything. Well, okay, thank you. I mean, I guess that's what we're kind of discussing here when it comes to things like Last of Us. You know, I don't want to just write a show off because it's got some stuff in it.
Yeah, that's how I feel with Hogwarts Legacy as well, because Hogwarts Legacy does have like a transgender character and a lesbian character, and so some people are just like, "Why are you still supporting this game? It's woke, it's woke." Like, pick your battles sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good God, I know what you mean, Melody. Holy fuck! Pick your battles, indeed.
Yeah, it's not a matter of the characters; it's how they're portrayed.
Exactly,
that's what woke is.
Yeah,
it's the subtext.
And I think if Hogwarts had like all of these pride flags, all these trans flags everywhere, all that kind of stuff, that would come off as a lot more obnoxious. But in this case, with the transgender character, they didn't make her like flamboyant, over the top, or they just treated it like you would treat a normal character in the game. You probably wouldn't even completely notice unless you were paying attention to the voice being a bit deep. So yeah, it's not egregious.
See, it's almost like, yeah, you know, when it's well integrated into a good story, we totally support it because it's like, well done. But when it's just there to prove a point and it's like bludgeoning you over the head, that's when we have a problem with it.
Exactly.
You know, that's what normal people tend to think like.
There's a transgender character in a Song of Ice and Fire, and Dance with Dragons is great. It's a master of whispers. It's a great character.
JS Pena says Hogwarts has its victory for now, but an invasion is coming and it's going to be crazy. And in space, no one can hear you eat ice cream. Hype for Killer Clowns, the game. Okay,
is that the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy?
I guess it is.
Juxenhausen says, "Happy V-Day, Drinker. Get naughty with Tatiana." What's V-Day? V-Day?
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day?
That's like 5 days away, isn't it?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting.
Okay, well, I'll do it early, I suppose. Thanks. Dark Hour says, "My channel,
Victory
Let's Talk."
Day?
Yeah, I guess. Even that. Not sure. Dark Hour says, "My channel, Let's Talk Content, got its first Patreon sub, so I feel that it's right that I send some to the guy who gave me a shot on this on his channel. Hail to the Drinker." Thank you, man, and it was great to have you on for that. Happy hour. The next one's a three-parter. So it's from RRTNZ. Says, "Hail Drinker, that sounds like a good reason to celebrate with Cobra Kai Happy Hour with Chuxenhausen and Dark Hour, but the world has been pretty grim of late and needs the laughter and Drinker review stream on Dodgeball. Would bring it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Why not also do a Father Ted stream or a cup of tea? Go on before Bishop Brennan arrives for a kick up the arse." So for anyone who's American, they're totally not going to get what the hell I'm just said there. But
I got Dodgeball.
I'm a huge fan of Father Ted. I love that series.
Father Ted is a really good sitcom.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's I do recommend it very much. David Glenn says, "Thinking about immigrating to the land of my ancestors, are there any good council houses in Glasgow that you would recommend to an American pensioner?" Nope. Nowhere. I cannot imagine how an American would take to living in a council house in Glasgow. It just boggles the mind. Yeah, for you guys, it would be like housing projects, I guess.
Oh, okay.
That's our version of that. And
Yeah.
For the most part,
I got a
they're
couple
not
friends
really
who
the
are
kind of
council house kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really the kind of place you dream of living, if you know what I mean. Especially in Glasgow, damn. Wayland Bucephus says, "For Gary, Dark Knight Returns or Batman Year One?"
Oh, God, that's not fair. One's the starting and one's the ending. Dark Knight Returns. I love year one. Mazzucchelli's art is freaking beautiful, but Dark Knight Returns had such an impact on me when I was a youngster when I was reading that.
Fair play, man. Also from the same guy says, which should I fix first, my AIDS or my cancer? That's a tricky one. Depends how advanced they both are, you know.
One is one is treatable and one is not.
Well, in an ideal world, I guess, if you said you could fix both and you had both,
like you could beat
one would you
cancer,
try?
I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can beat them both,
one
actually.
causes the other.
Well, both treatments are excruciating. So one's a cocktail of drugs that basically keeps you alive, but you're still it's gonna be like having hepatitis B. You're not gonna live past 60. And the other one radiates the hell out of you. So I wouldn't cancer. I wouldn't wish cancer on any. Oh my god. I watched my dad die of that stuff.
Our current cure for cancer is what? They try and kill you, and hopefully the cancer dies first, and they stop trying to kill you.
That's it.
What if you give AIDS to the cancer?
That would be wonderful if you were able to do that.
There should be a movie where they fight.
They fight. AIDS versus cancer.
Unfortunately, the thing is that AIDS actually causes, or indirectly, I was not going to say it causes, but you'll be far more susceptible to a bunch of cancers with AIDS.
Yep. We've had more than a couple of friends die who were living a long time with AIDS, but then they just died in their 50s and 60s.
Damn.
Yep.
Stephen Bobo says, question for the whole panel. In your video games, do you prefer an open level up ability system that lets you choose what type of skills that you want, or a more linear, structured, job-specific kind of system?
I mean, as with all of these, just I want it to be well made, well balanced. Right. It's less to do with like a preference. In the same way, there's like, do you prefer open world or linear games? It's like, well, depends on how well executed those are.
I think it depends on the game too, and it depends on the type of game, because something like Elden Ring, for example, you want to be able to really customize your character a lot. You really want to fine-tune their abilities and everything exactly how you want to play. But then if you're playing something more like Tomb Raider, I don't want to be bogged down with a big skill tree and all this stuff with Tomb Raider. I just want to do flips and shoot T-Rexes and solve puzzles. So I think it really depends on the game.
Yeah, I think, Tomb Raider is a great example of that, because that kind of customization is happening now, isn't it? But like most of the skills that you get like further down the tree are completely useless.
Yep.
It's like stuff that you would never ever need.
I feel like it's not necessary at all. You don't need a skill tree for Tomb Raider at all, in my opinion. Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I do like the idea of being able to customize the character to your playing style. You know, if it's just a general action adventure type game, it's like, well, you know, some people like to snipe, some people are brawlers, some people like to run and gun. There's always going to be a bit of that.
Yeah.
But
As a retro gamer, I like it linear.
Fair enough. Andrew McCarthy says, about to watch Superman 78, the extended cut at 3 hours.
Yes, the television cut. It's a good one. That's brilliant. It's the best Superman movie ever made.
Grey Jedi Outcast says, Drinker, have you seen the movie Titan AE? If not, give it a watch sometime. It's an animated sci-fi adventure that's criminally underrated. I have seen Titan After Earth, actually, and it's... Yeah, I liked it. I like the characters. I like the setting. The animation is beautiful. So, good film overall. JK Fozel says, Hail all. Drinker, how much toilet duck do you have to chug to get you to play Zelda? Which one? Like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild?
Like 11 of them or something.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Zelda games. I've got nothing against them. I guess it's just never been my thing. Never really been a Zelda guy. What can I say? I'd have to drink quite a bit of toilet duck, actually. Juan Garcia says, Gary, I don't understand Superman 2, the Donner cut, with his powers being drained and him spinning the world backwards.
It's kind of a throwback to like silly comics, but it was the 70s. It was a really weird decade. I have no explanation. I still like it. Losing his powers, giving him up, Yeah. I love the Donner cut though. I think Superman 2, the Donner cut, if it had come out, Superman 3 would have been better. Everything would have been better. But like, I mean, in the Lester, he's whipping his S off and throwing it around and like got the little, like they made shit up for that movie. Okay, but keep in mind, Mario Puzo did write that. It's fucking awesome.
Imagine you got like that success, and then the Tim Burton Batman, they joined the universes, and then they got themselves like an early MCU.
That was gonna happen. That
They
was gonna
could have
happen
done
in
it.
the 90s.
They
Been
could have done
crazy.
it at any time. Yes, they were gonna. Michael Keaton was supposed to cameo in the Superman movie that they didn't do. So yeah, Warner Brothers could have done it at any time because they owned DC. They were just dumb. They've always been dumb. They've never known what to do with Looney Tunes post Mel Blanc. They've never known what to do with DC characters. And when they do something right, it's purely, well, let's get this Nolan guy to do a Batman. Kind of leave him alone. He'll make a couple of good, really freaking good Batman movies. And then let's get this Harry Potter thing. That might work out for us. And, it did. And then, Warner Brothers was the king of the studios 15 years ago, 12 years ago. They were it. They were number one. They were more in Disney. They were crushing everybody. And now Disney's the king, but they're on the way down. It just, comes and goes. Hollywood's pretty stupid for the most part.
They certainly are.
Yeah, they have a lot of money and they're fucking dumb.
Juan Garcias also asks you, what's your thoughts on Batman the Animated
Matrix
Series?
too, yeah.
Mask of Phantasm.
Mask of Phantasm. Have you
Yeah.
seen it?
Famous one, right?
That's the animated movie from Batman. It's freaking
That's the one,
amazing.
yeah.
That's the best Batman movie.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
Best Batman.
It is the best Batman
That's what
movie.
I've heard.
You heard me.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Elena Pineda says, Melanie, what's your thoughts on Wonderbat in JL 2001?
Wonderbat? Are you talking about Justice League 2001? I wouldn't
so.
be able to tell you. I haven't. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I haven't seen it.
Okay. Senji Vinsmoke says, thoughts on Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin?
Batman Returns, best out of the lot.
I agree. Completely.
Which one was the
Yeah.
one that had Penguin in it? Is that one?
Batman
Returns.
Returns. Batman
That
Returns.
was my favorite. I
Yeah.
loved that one so much. Okay.
Burton went dark with that one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Rightly so, though, I suppose. What's your thoughts on 89?
Overrated.
Some of the worst editing I've ever seen in a film. But I mean, like, I love it, okay? But it's really choppy editing. And it reminds me of Dr. No. You ever seen, we've all seen Dr. No.
Yeah.
It's a great Bond film. Some of the worst editing you've ever
Yeah.
seen. But yeah, Burton, I think, wasn't a very experienced filmmaker. So as an editor, there was no fluidity from scene to scene. It was like, chunk, now this thing happens. Chunk, like Batman doesn't fight anybody. Like there's one little fight scene, at the end. It's kind of I love it. I love the production design. Gotham's a character, which it should be. But Batman Returns, like Burton had figured it out by then. It's just a cleaner, sleeker movie.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Batwoman as
Yeah.
well. It's not
Batwoman.
Catwoman.
She's the best
Loser!
Cat-
No,
the
that could have been
best
something.
Catwoman
Get him!
ever.
Catwoman.
I don't think there will ever be a Catwoman who can do better than she did.
Was there not that behind the scenes footage as well, where she's like whipping the candles, and she just nails each one of them perfectly.
Candles. You mix it up with Mask of Zorro. It's she's hitting mannequins. But yeah,
Mannequins,
you're
right?
right. It is awesome, and yeah, I got to imagine that when they hired her for the role, they weren't expecting her to put that much fucking effort into it. She really, you watch that movie, she's gunning for it. She's like, I'm gonna give you a Catwoman, right? And it's a very Tim Burton Catwoman. She's a psychopath. Her mind is falling apart. She's desperately trying to figure herself out, which is is what that film's all about, right? So all the characters are struggling with that.
Yeah.
Duality.
Oh, I fucking loved it, especially the relationship between Catwoman and Batman in that is top notch. Also, Christopher Walken is the most normal person in the movie.
Yeah,
which is
that's a rare thing.
He plays it great. He keeps like every time something insane happens, he's just like, yeah, okay. Well, how do I benefit from this? Let me
he
figure it out.
steals the show. Like this movie was sold on Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer are the villains, and then here comes Christopher Walken, just freaking owns the scenes. It's great.
I love the bit at the end where Keaton takes off his mask and he's like, Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed like Batman? It's like, because he is Batman, you moron. And he's just like, shoots him.
Well,
pretty
the mask
cool.
gets all fucked up, right? So he's in this like penguin cave with all this insane nonsense happening, the bombs, the armies, the babies getting killed. Bruce Wayne, Batman, and he just goes, Selena Kyle, you're fired. I recommend Batman Returns, everybody, though I think all of chat probably saw it already, but hey.
I would imagine. So I take it we don't have much to say about Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Oh, I love it. I love that movie for very different reasons.
I don't understand the studio having had Tim Burton make a huge success out of Batman with these two movies, saying, right, what can we do now? Let's go super campy and ridiculous, just like the 1960s Adam West show.
I can explain that actually.
Yeah, it's a bad explanation, but you're right.
That's all about them basically taking an influence reassignment, because Batman Returns did really well at the box office. Did not do so well on the back end in terms of advertising revenue, as in they didn't get so many kickbacks from toy manufacturers and stuff like that. That is what they changed for Batman Forever. Then they had like these agreements with all third-party licensees and toy manufacturers that were involved with the making of the movie. They wanted these and these designs. So Batman Forever, and especially Batman and Robins, they were really elaborate toy commercials, because the toy companies, they were there, and those movies, they were so, at least Batman Forever was so profitable for Warner, because not only did they get the box office, but they also got so much money from the licensees just for the whole campy tone and everything. So it was purely for the money.
Yeah, got to make McDonald's happy and the toy companies happy.
Yeah,
that's why they did it.
All there was to it.
And it was such a downgrade in a Batmobile too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, audiences lopped it up, and so they doubled down, and that's how you got Batman and Robin.
Yep.
It's so bad. Like Joel Schumacher.
You know, it's funny how some of the most interesting and compelling stories can emerge from the most
Nicholson and one of the producers went to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And at the end of Hunchback of Notre Dame, it all goes to the top of the cathedral. And this is mid-script. You know, this is they have the script and everything, and they're just like, this is how we need to end this film. We need to get it to Gotham Cathedral, and they need to kind of get up in a no pun intended, quasi Hunchback of Notre Dame. A quasi Hunchback of Notre Dame moment where they literally just go up to the top, and then they have their. So that was actually inspired by Hunchback of Notre Dame.
No, I liked it.
And that would have been one of the more controversial elements of the film, right, where he kills Joker essentially. For Batman.
Yeah, but you could argue that he was just trying to like stop him from escaping, and it's just like, well, gravity kind of killed him. Really.
Why does everyone do that with all the Batman kills? Like, well, you could argue this was more of a manslaughter at most.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he killed all those. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he killed all those guys in the warehouse too earlier when he blew it up.
But he there's a point where he's coming through with the Batwing, and he just gets the fucking Gatling gun out and mows a bunch of them down.
I know.
Yeah. Well, there's that absolute like Chad who just has a go at Batman like in the bell tower, and he ends up like throwing him off the edge. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, to be fair, there's no point in either the first or the second Batman movie. I'm trying to remember in Batman Forever Returns, or Batman and Robin, where he says anything like that. But I don't think he ever said like Batman doesn't kill or anything like that. That was never a part of that character.
No,
Right?
no. Burton's portrayal was this Batman would kill.
Flat out,
Definitely kills
well,
people.
and that was
then
mainly
Zack Snyder
because
just said, "Fuck it, he's a mass murderer now."
Yeah.
exactly. Like, and I have read like the earlier versions of the script before they got to that point, and he didn't kill in some of the earlier ones I remember, but that also had Robin and some other things in it. But
yeah.
when they got to this point, Tim Burton was really turned on by the Killing Joke and the Dark Knight Frank Miller comic.
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns.
Open bar, dude.
Yeah, I honestly, man, I mean, I you're right. There aren't any wipes in this, but like that is the least.
Yeah, what was that?
Do you reckon Han Solo will show up? Scene where Han Solo shoots a bunch of robots. That's what we need.
Yeah, that'll be it. It'll be like from his back most of the time, and then he'll come in and go, "I'm here to say you."
Yeah. I mean, you know what else is gonna happen? Like at the end, Fennec's gonna go, like they're gonna part ways, and like that's gonna set up a Fennec spin-off series. Where she's
You know it, Fennec fat.
Spin-offs of spin-offs of spin-offs. What was they? Because we looked at that Bob Chapek email, and it was like that's the franchise ecosystem that he talked about. It's just everything feeding into everything else. You know, everything's setting up another thing, another product to consume, another series, just more content forever. There's no escaping this content.
No, they got it figured out. The best Marvel thing, the most exciting thing is the next thing. Like Moon Knight is the most exciting thing right now. And then as soon as Moon Knight comes out, it'll be the next exciting thing. That's it.
We've got a Gundalorian here as well.
I couldn't switch my avatar in time, so I gave up.
Talking
perfectly.
talking about your favorite show, Boba Fett. You've been watching it intently, right?
Oh God, no. I already knew it was gonna just be a complete piece of shit. I don't know why you guys keep doing this over and over again. You watch these shows, they ruin them, everyone complains. We all know what's going down.
Well,
It's because we hate ourselves, Gundam.
I was gonna say I ain't letting them get away with this. You kidding me? I'm gonna shit on
they're
it
not
all
listening
day
to you,
long. I don't care if they listen to me or not. I would poop on them anyway.
Muller's like, Boba Fett's going to get back the armor he had on in the credits. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty interesting twist.
I've never given a fuck. I'll just see what they decide to do, which turns out is Boba Fett needs to learn how mercenaries work, and luckily Fennec is there to teach him.
Oh, and he doesn't care about money, you said, which I thought was very interesting.
Oh yeah, he's Fennec was talking to him about what exactly he wants, and he was like, I don't want money. It's just like, oh.
So someone pointed out in chat as well, like Boba Fett is now apparently a crime lord who doesn't actually do any crime.
he's the nicest Disney crime lord you've ever seen.
Well, it is a Disney show.
Yeah, it's what was it he said? Like Jabba ruled through fear, I'm gonna rule through respect. It's like, how's anyone gonna respect you when you can't fucking do anything?
Yeah.
And you don't respond to threats to your authority? That's not gonna generate respect, my friend.
Well, people pointed out, right? He had a guy come to him who gives tribute and said, like, I will even give you more money if you can help me because someone's stealing my stuff. And so it's like, all right, quest accepted. And he goes over there and the people are like, he's charging a lot for the water. And he's like, wow, you shouldn't be charging so much. And you guys, you can work for me now. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They were stealing from him. Okay.
It's this world. Yeah, it's this world of Boba Fett, right? Where literally, if you hire someone, no matter how untrustworthy they are, they instantly become like super loyal to you, and you can trust them with your life. Like, how gullible do you have to be as a character, especially someone like him, who's dealt with probably the scum of the galaxy throughout his life? Like, yeah,
See, they should have
they'll be
modeled
fine.
Boba Fett after Pokimane.
So
yeah, she is a crime lord.
Crimes against dignity.
He's been talking as well in these episodes about how much he hates his bosses and the people who've given him these contracts and stuff. And he tells like Chrysanthemum, trust me, don't work for the scum holes or whatever the fuck he calls them. And we were just thinking about like how it wasn't Vader's fault or Jabba's fault that you closed the distance with Luke. and then you got your jetpack just damaged and fell into the Sarlacc. Like, how are you blaming them for that? What exactly did they do wrong? They paid you.
I think the best line ever as well is when he says, "We're smarter than them," and I just couldn't help but think, "No, you're not, sir."
No, you're not. God, Vader, you'd be lucky to be employed by Vader. Like, the idea that he's like, I don't want to work for that scumbag. He's like, shut up, Boba.
You'd be lucky to be employed by Vader, fuck up and live, honestly.
It's really, really annoying. And he's like, from now on, we'll work for ourselves. It's like, oh, shut up.
I can't wait to not with Disney Star Wars Vader. I can't wait till he comes back and him and Kenobi just have a talk.
That's probably gonna happen.
God, that's gonna suck, man.
They're gonna cry. They're gonna hug.
The lightsaber duel will be very bad. It'll be short. It'll be a lot of dialogue and flashbacks.
But there'll be what, 6 episodes. The battle will be like 5 minutes, and it'll be surrounded by 25-minute episodes of walking around in the desert of Tatooine again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bet as well that a strong female character is gonna intervene to stop them fighting each other and be like, "Boys and your toys, you have to stop fighting." Oh my god!
Teenage Leia. Teenage Leia will be like, "Dad, please."
Yeah, she'll like shoot them both with like force lightning or something.
She'll be just as powerful as she was with Mary Poppins, and just as intelligent. And we'll also find out that Leia was a scientist and could build a ship by herself. Ought to be great.
Yeah, definitely.
A woman will save Obi-Wan from Vader. That's what'll happen.
We're taking the piss here, but this is absolutely going to happen. I guarantee
Yeah,
it.
this actually sounds like the Disney boardroom.
They're taking notes.
What if a strong woman comes in and saves Obi-Wan at the last minute?
And then another board member is like, "Wait, what if Darth Vader is a woman?"
Oh, we
And they're all like,
What if Darth Vader identified as a woman, and that's why he was so angry this whole time, because he couldn't be his true self?
Well,
Could you imagine if
turned off on Mustafa? Was it again? I'm
Mustafa.
Where the fuck did his penis burn off? But his penis did burn off, so he could technically be non-binary or transitioning. These are great notes here.
Transhuman.
Yeah,
He's
you
got
could just
robot
imagine.
parts.
You could imagine a shot of him from behind when he takes the helmet off, and there's just like this like shock of purple hair just coming down the back.
No.
It's like, no.
Yeah, that's why he's angry.
But
That's supposed
Palpatine
to
is
be
It's like
It's supposed to be a one and done season as well, right? I'm assuming the same for Book of Boba Fett. Like these projects that are just built to be like, will this work? Let's see. What numbers do we get? Like there's nothing creative in them. It's so sad.
No, there hasn't been since the start. Since the effing start for 10 years, there hasn't been a single creative thing. I think Mandalorian just did it a little better because they didn't fill it with stupid identity politics in the beginning. And they just decided to tell like a very basic story that I think was just slightly above your average Clone Wars, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But
yeah, you're exactly right. Like it was shit, well made. Like
Yeah.
it's just simple shit that looked nice, and I think that was all it took to like reel people back in. He identifies more as machine now than man.
It's unbelievable to me that Boba is less ruthless than Mando. Like, Mando will chop a motherfucker in half with the door if they shoot him, right? And it's like, okay, at least we got that from Hero Man. But Boba is just like, you tried to kill me? Perhaps you'd like to work for me.
You know why they're doing that? It's like because Mando is the franchise leader. He's like the Iron Man of this little shitty TV show version of the MCU, and so they can't upstage him, because if Boba Fett was more cool and more ruthless and more badass than him, people would just think, well, why the fuck do we care about the Mandalorian anymore? So he has to be dumb now and old, and he's the Joe Biden of the Star Wars universe now.
Yeah, Mando will be saving him in the next episode, I imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't do Boba Fett the way intended because it would be too hard for Disney.
Well, could you imagine if this was the Boba Fett that you got in Empire, right? And he was just dominate in every situation. He always had a plan. He fucking killed anyone who crossed him. Just a ruthless son of a bitch who could take on any threat.
Yeah, just like Star Wars Battlefront 2. Whenever someone unlocked fucking Boba Fett, the match was over. He was just raping everyone.
Yeah. But then, like, yeah, that's they wouldn't be allowed to have a character like that, especially not a male one. Can't have that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He has to be dumb and weak, and he has to have Fennec show him how to do things and do his fighting for him.
It's so
unbelievable.
ridiculous.
We're more than halfway through already.
Dude, it's so ridiculous that like this is the pattern for every one of their shows. Like even it doesn't matter. The show could be all the Marvel shows had different premises, but it like ended up being the same model, right? The same general formula. Every time you had a dude on screen, you had to have 3 girl bosses, and then I'll point it out, and people will call me sexist. I'm like, okay, fine, just like that's totally like how Loki normally acts. And Hawkeye, not a big planner. The master tactician said in his fucking show, "I'm not a planner." Fucking Hawkeye from Shield. It's stupid shit over and over again. Yeah, Slave One is now what the fuck is it? Fire spray.
Fire spray.
Yeah.
So
There you go. This guy's got it.
George Floyd won. Very well.
And he didn't need to say it, but he did. He was like, I need to get to my fire spray gunship. It's like, why did you say my ship? Why is it because you really need to make sure we understand it ain't Slave One anymore? Which nobody's on board with, so I don't know why you even bother.
This episode actually really called into focus like how badly designed Slave One is as a ship as well, because I was talking to Muller about this beforehand. It's like parked in a hangar, but because it's vertical, like Boba gets into it and they're getting attacked from like ground troops, and he can't fucking see them to shoot at them because it's flipped vertically.
Yeah.
And he can't see the doors to fly his way out of there, and he can't shoot them either. So he's just like stuck staring at the roof of the hangar because the ship is so fucking stupid.
It's a complete mess. He can't do shit. Meanwhile, as Drigger brought up as a counter example, it's just like Millennium Falcon hard presses one button and an auto turret comes out and just starts shooting enemies. It's like, yeah, that would be better.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing you should have, just in case.
Well, Boba Fett was such a badass. He didn't have this problem before because everyone would be dead.
He killed them.
Slave One is still a cool ship. It's a fucking iron. You can grab an iron and you can fly it around and play with it. This is the cool thing about, at least George Lucas's designs were distinctive. You knew what the ship was by the fucking shape. Name a design of anything, post George Lucas where you could even recognize what it was. Even the Naboo fighters from episode 1 were cool. Those yellow starships were they were
yeah.
But nothing in the sequel trilogy of an original ship design ever was distinct. What the fuck is the shape of the ship that Han and Chewie were piloting before they got the Millennium Falcon back? What did it even look like? Do you remember? It looks like a fucking loaf of bread. It's a piece of bread.
Just
It was like a big
rectangle in
coaster because
space.
it swallows up ships or something. It was a weird ship that they didn't even give a fuck about.
Nothing.
The same people are doing ships for Star Trek. Star Trek Discovery still on the air. Got renewed.
Great show.
And laughing. And all the ships are it's like Star Trek had sexy ships too, like really sexy ships. And now they're horrible. They're like silverware put together and can openers and shit flying around in space.
The Cleon birds of prey were so badass.
People.
Yeah. Like, is it true, Gary? Because I haven't watched Discovery in quite a while, and I'm really happy about that. But like, the nacelles don't even attach to like the Discovery anymore. They just kind of float in space next to it.
They float right next to it because they're retarded.
Because physics.
Yeah.
I fuck this show. God damn. I remember, we talked about this before in films like Wrath of Khan or Star Trek The Motion Picture. There's a lot of just long shots of the ship just going through space or leaving space dock or whatever, just doing procedural stuff. And it just looks great. It's so like elegantly designed. It's just like a classic look. And like Gundam was saying there, the birds of prey look awesome. The Klingon warbirds. The battle cruisers, sorry, when you see them, like they're absolutely enormous. They look really like just big and industrial and blunt, and they just look great. What do you have now that's iconic like that?
The Supremacy Snoke ship. Ever remember that one?
Yeah.
Big triangle.
Yeah. It's like remember that ship from the Eternals? It literally is just a triangle.
I forgot it was called the Supremacy. God. Fucking hate Hollywood.
I mean, I think part of the problem with this is just everything is committee now. But that's why all these Disney Plus shows, and this goes back to Marvel too, it's all committee produced content. That's all it is committee produced content. That's why it's garbage. Whereas George Lucas had a freaking rubber stamp and he could just say approved, or you know what I mean? Like that was cool. And for whatever you think of the prequels, they've aged much better than the sequels ever will. And there at least was a vision behind it, you know? I mean, at least we're still talking about it.
Dude, the sequels are literally rotting. Like, even the people who liked anything about them, as days go by, like, the story didn't really line up, did it?
It's the comments passed me by before I could grab it, but like someone just wrote 10,000 Star Destroyers.
Iconic,
I think that
bro.
just summed up the thinking perfectly behind the sequel trilogy.
Don't you love those 10,000 don't even have a fraction of the impact of the first Star Destroyer we see in the franchise.
Yeah,
like just one chasing Leia versus 10 fucking thousand. What were you doing, JJ?
They
all have Death Star lasers on them. Look at more planets. So cool.
Lens flare.
Lens flare, yeah.
Yeah.
What can we combat this with? 1,000,000 ships from across the galaxy. Like, how'd they get there? Don't know. Just fucking throw them in there.
I thought it was difficult to get to that space. Not anymore. Let's go. I thought you had to get like 3 MacGuffins to find this place. Doesn't matter. They're all getting there now.
How'd they get through the space cancer? I don't know.
Space cancer. Yeah, that movie gave me space cancer.
Oh yeah. Also, like, nobody defends Rise of Skywalker. You still have people who are like, TFA was kind of neat as a start, and TLJ was a masterpiece. Those people are still out there in caves or whatever, but nobody liked Rise of Skywalker.
Nah, one of them is writing the new Star Wars Knights of the Republic remake. Sam Maggs.
Junkyard explosion.
Yeah, I did.
Someone was talking about Holdo or Giraffe Neck as well. I'm just trying to find it.
Right.
It's gone. It's too far up. Shit.
No, this era has gone on for 5 years now. We're 5 years into this weird, like, destructive, deconstructive, subversive era. And I think it might be coming to an end. We still got a year of garbage to go because of the coof. But, you know, like, seeing a movie like The 355 come out, like, the fact that even got made and put into theaters is hilarious. It's a bit funny. I almost want to watch it because it looks just dumb as fuck.
Yeah, don't watch it. It's like, it's not even, it's not even like hilariously bad like Charlie's Angels. It's just boring as fuck. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. Just a really like generic procedural espionage type movie. They were trying to make it like Jason Bourne, but with like a bunch of women, and there's all the usual crap that you'd expect from something like that. The ladies are all like in their 40s, so it's not even like they're young and energetic like in Charlie's Angels. They're just they're just tired and embarrassed to be there.
They're strong. They're beautiful.
They're strong. I just felt bad for Penelope Cruz. I was like, no, Penelope, you're better than this. Don't do this.
Remember the all women Oceans film? That was the thing, wasn't
it? It was
yeah, I never saw it.
Well, nobody saw it, but I was wondering if you guys remember it existed.
I think, yeah, it's in that same category of just forgettable. Like that movie is going to be forgotten within weeks. Like it never existed.
Don't worry.
But yeah, I mean, like,
we'll do an article saying we're all bigots because we didn't see it.
Yeah. What is it? Those duality of man tweets I love, where it's like, Polygon or whatever saying, men need to. Sorry, no, Charlie's Angels wasn't made for men. And then, like 2 weeks later, why did no men go to see this movie? By the same writer as well.
I just think it's a climate of corporate filmmaking. That's all it is that everything has become everything in Hollywood. I mean, I saw it happen too. because I've worked for some of these, and also I got to say it's an honor to be on with It's a Gundalorium, because It's a Gundam. Oh my God, your videos are so amazing, and the It's a Gun when you did that video about G4, I don't know, you put it out a couple like last week or something.
That was good, dude.
That was
Oh
fucking
my
brilliant,
God.
man. Honestly,
That takedown was just brutal, and you referenced all the stuff that sort of led to. Anyways, thank you. It's a Gundam. I appreciate it.
Wow, thank you, sir. I didn't see this coming.
No, it's like you on FNT and obviously your channel and whatnot, but it's really become a corporate environment. I mean, when I worked at G4, it wasn't corporate at all. It was people that didn't know what the fuck they were doing, that were just there, that were just passionate about everything, comics, movies, video games. And then it became slowly corporate, right? But now all of Hollywood has become that. All of Hollywood has been that, that DIE stuff, and it's infected everything, including the decision making behind the name of a fucking ship that was named by George Lucas, Slave fucking One. And I'm sorry for the fucking, but I'm just.
you can fuck as much as you want on this stream, man.
Fuck away.
Don't hold back.
But it's just like that, idea that like nobody complained. There wasn't a campaign to change the name of Boba Fett's ship.
Boba shit.
Boba shit. It was them just sort of preemptively changing it, and that has just led to a bankruptcy of creativity across everything, where everything is just content. I mean, Boba Fett is just to fill his schedule because we need something here, right? And same thing with all the Disney Plus Star Wars stuff that's coming. Nothing is going to be decent, and everything's going to be a derivative of something we've already seen that is going to be incredibly disappointing. And anything original is going to be something like, look, you got a preview of it, and it's those High Republic books, and all you got to do is look at the covers of those that look like garbage, fanfic garbage.
Oh, you're not moved by the two transgender Jedi, sir?
No, I mean, no, it doesn't matter, that identity stuff. It doesn't matter. Introduce me to a character that is compelling, right? That has, just something behind that. But the identity and the agenda comes before everything else, before story and character. This is the same conversation we've always been having, but I see it. It just sucks. And there's my
creativity, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people who are in charge lack any character because they've probably lived a semi-charmed kind of life. I mean, Nerdrotic's tales of his childhood, I feel it's like Dennis the Menace or something, or some sort of Huckleberry Finn for the modern age. I would believe Nerdrotic could write a show. But the people who are in charge of stuff spend their time drinking Fracca Mocha Cappuccino lattes. I can't even say it. They have assistants. They check Twitter to see what's trending and what's the new pronoun to protect. It's just absolute madness. And on the other hand of G4, because I'm all over the place. Sorry, I got a little high. I think the problem with G4 was this, and it's just blanketed over everything. The more popular something becomes, the more money it makes, the more checks and balances, the more corporate it becomes. Like Ninja, for instance. He was actually funny and interesting as a streamer at one point. Now look at him. Polar opposite.
I think the higher you climb, the more you stand to lose, I suppose. And so there's always that thing of, they want to be more and more careful to protect what they've got. But I was never like a watcher of G4 back in the day. I was kind of vaguely aware, like that's how Olivia Munn got her start and stuff. But hey, we've got Frosk now, and she's here to.
She's so much better.
She's here to entertain us. I saw a great meme where it was just her, that someone had mocked up saying like, "Tell me something I've never heard before," and the response was, "You're pretty."
Oh no.
I just want to say, chat, Drinker and Nerdrotic are not here to be easy on the eyes, okay?
Yeah,
they're not here.
In case you hadn't guessed.
I use the Drunker to lure women into my life. They're like, the critical Drunker? Yeah, we're friends. We talk all the time.
He follows me on Twitter.
See? He's following me, Stacy.
I had to beg Gundam to come on this stream tonight. He's like, I got more things to do than this.
God bless you, sir.
What would make any YouTuber or Twitch streamer want to go and work for a TV network where you're basically creatively muzzled, where there's everything's pre-produced, rehearsed, there's teleprompter stuff. I mean, obviously there's places to maybe be yourself for a glimpse, but like Gary, you've even said, like, there's no amount of money that would make you work for some big company doing what you already do, where you have complete freedom. But what would be the price? Like I look at that guy, and I don't know a lot of the new people from G4 at all. I don't know what they did. Like, I'm talking, like people like, what's the completionist? Everyone seems to like him.
Gerard,
Yeah, like, it's fine. Like, so they had these good gigs going. They got their own thing. They're probably doing decent, but then they're like, hey, come work for G4. I mean, one thing I know is we never wear G4 t-shirts on G4, but they're all wearing G4 t-shirts on G4, which just seems weird to me. It's sort of like, I don't know. It's the faux pas of wearing the t-shirt.
I mean, surely like seeing yourself on there is something that they have, like, like the idea of like, I started just talking about games and I watched a whole bunch of people talking about them. I can finally be the one who tells other people. I can be on the screen in the same way like actors, maybe if they started on, didn't like a lot of big musicians start on YouTube as well. And it's like, it's the dream to become professional, to go into the big leagues, to be on TV. Like, I have a feeling that probably plays into it, but I think you're completely right. If Gerard was a friend of any of ours and he was like, I want to go work with G4, we'd probably be like, you don't need to.
I don't think Gerard would fuck with any of us.
No, of course not. He's probably way too clean to be anywhere near any of us. We're too edgy. But yeah, I think that's gotta play into it, where you're like, I can't wait to be professional. I can't wait to get out of the
TV show, I think my mother will respect me more. Like, being a YouTuber,
but it's not for the money, right?
Yeah, this is the thing, right? You tell your parents you're a YouTuber, and they're just like, I don't get it.
You make little videos on the internet, huh? That's good. That's nice,
but hey, if
baby.
you say you're a presenter on a professional gaming fucking journalism thing, like, there you go. It's a bit more prestigious.
But, I kind of remember, like, going back to like when I was growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, like, what gaming journalism used to be like. It used to be funny, it used to be edgy, and like they didn't care about offending people, and like they were prepared to make jokes, and they just talked about the games. It was so fucking refreshing. Now it's like become a ridiculous parody of itself.
You're telling me when Kotaku did the review of PlayStation 5 and it switched gears to the riots and the election and Trump, you weren't moved and touched?
That guy was legit like jerking off. Like when that got published, it's like, yeah, score some fucking points there. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna be on the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, it's fucking tragic, man.
Drinker, I mean, I have no idea how old you are, but the thing is,
really old.
Well, I doubt that. But the best games journalism was always from the British games magazines. I used to go to the newsstand. There was those British game magazines were fucking, they went off on shit. It was so, I mean, it was great. You were getting a game review, but at the same time, they'd be talking shit. It was so great. And there was a magazine. Do you remember Next Generation magazine?
Vaguely, I think, yeah.
Yeah. That magazine was like, it approached games like it was art, and it was so fucking incredible. Like, God, I just want to see if there's issues of it online, but the best games journalism, seriously, they were in the Brit games magazines, because they didn't give a fuck. They weren't compromised by advertising. They didn't care, and it was awesome, right? And to me, like, YouTube is kind of the same thing, right? Like, no one cares, right? Like, I paid for the game. I have a right to have an opinion about it. And it's not compromised by sponsorship or promotion or advertising or any of that. So
absolutely. There was a magazine called PlayStation Plus back in the 90s that was like 50% games journalism and like 50% porn. Like, it was fucking amazing.
Ironically, I just
every other page had a topless woman in it. I fucking loved it.
I just missed the times where the industry was newer, I guess, for gaming, so it was freer. It's gone the same way as basically everything else.
Like I said, the more stuff can become mainstream, the more it's like this.
Yeah, more to lose, so they gotta be careful. It just becomes sterilized.
I'm telling you, it's the normals, the normies. They get in on stuff, and then they're like, whoa, this is a little too much. Breasts.
You're saying we have to kill the normies?
You know, I'm not saying it's my final solution.
It's just the first part of it, really.
It's Gundam's final solution to the normie question.
I miss YouTube. It used to be so fun. I was capable of like photoshopping myself on the cover of Mein Kampf, and everybody knew it was a joke when I talked about Twitch dots. You can't do that now.
No. Dude, people will be happy if you did that because they'll be like, we can get rid of him now.
We've got him. He's a Nazi.
And you're right about like it applying to basically everything as well, because there's still loads of people who adore like this new shit that's coming out, including like Boba Fett and stuff. They're like, oh, it's excellent. Yeah, and it's just like, you fuckers, we're gonna end up with loads more of this now. Like, god damn. Because you know that they would if everybody said Boba Fett sucks, we ain't watching it, they'd be like, okay, we need to redo this because it ain't working, nobody's watching it.
I probably shouldn't say this because it's gonna bite me in the ass later, but the Gundam fandom is starting to be taken over by these people. I'm just trying to build little robots. I'm seeing people tweet things like, if you're not here to help us upset the capitalist government. I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with Amuro Ray? They're taking over and it hurts. I'm sorry.
This, because it's taking over things like Warhammer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, people are coming into that and they're like, wow, the Imperium of Man in the future is really toxic and masculine, and it's not very diverse and inclusive. We need to work on that. We need to have like female space marines and all the rest of it. And they kind of missed the point that it's meant to be basically like a fascist society in the future because it's constant warfare, and that's what it's devolved into. But it's just like, it's too hard for them to comprehend. Like, it needs to be softer and it needs to be more accepting.
Do you remember that movement that was about goblins being portrayed as black people or some shit?
Jews on that.
Yeah, I still don't understand how that came.
Well, yeah, because it was like goblins in Harry Potter were meant to be Jews, and orcs from Lord of the Rings were meant to be black people. Yeah,
yeah, that's the connection they make, and then we're all just like, wait, what?
Exactly.
It literally didn't get any of it. Like,
it's like, it's a goblin. Where did you get Jews?
And then you turn the visor back on them. You're like, why did you say that?
Yeah, that's the same people who said stuff about orcs. It's like, I never saw that. How are you seeing that, sir or ma'am?
No, like, it's so obvious. You're not seeing it. You're like,
no. But it's okay because we've got Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power coming out.
Oh,
so
fuck.
That's gonna fix everything, right?
Can we talk about that teaser that they released that everyone thought was shitty CGI, but it turns out it wasn't? But
it still looked like CGI in the end.
I was gonna say, all I can imagine is they fucked with it in post. Like, they must have, because it doesn't look real.
It was the frame rate. It had to be the frame rate. They should have done like 24 frames per second, probably, instead of, they probably did 60 or something.
What, really?
Yeah, that's my only guess. It made it look okay, that 48 whatever the fuck frame rate they used in The Hobbit, that's what made it look shitty. So when you had, because in Goblin Town,
yeah,
everything like those were miniatures too. Those weren't all CGI. Some of the characters were CGI, but some of the shit was miniatures, and it looked miniature because it was too clear. And our eyes are trained, I'm just guessing, by the way, to 24,
it makes sense. 24 is the cinematic sort of standard to an anamorphic lens.
When you said Goblin Town, I thought you were just meant Hollywood. I was like,
uh-oh, he just made the Jew connection again.
Not again, more.
That's the other people doing that. It ain't me.
Oh, Kamaler. No, it's that's what it looked like. Come on, tell me it didn't look like that, especially towards when it gets to the graphics at the end, right? It looks like Shadow. What the fuck is it? Raid Shadow Legends or whatever the fuck.
The greatest game ever made and the sponsor of this stream.
Yeah.
It didn't leave me alone.
Has anyone tried Raid Shadow Legends? It's fantastic.
It really didn't make sense to me. I didn't even believe when they were like this. It was done physically. I was like, oh, is this that situation? Do you remember the Thing remake? Or it wasn't really me, whatever it was, in 2012, whatever the fuck. They did like all practical, but then they put CGI all over all of the practical shit that they did. It's like, did that happen? Did they do it practically? It didn't look good in post, and so they just did it in CGI? Because I was like, I don't understand why it looks so ass, but yeah, there you go.
They did some CGI because doesn't some elven writing show up in the?
Yeah, they must have done some at least.
The thing is, like, it ultimately gives us nothing to talk about because really, we just got like the recitation of the standard poem from Lord of the Rings, and just a nice tech demo of a ring getting forged. And that's all we get. Nothing.
And we got a wonderful voiceover going.
Yeah.
I managed to talk about it quite a bit. It's in my next video, but yeah, it just sparked up the conversation again about like, is it going to be woke? Is this thing going to be woke? We know
you already know the answer to this.
I was gonna say, I don't know, that answer's easy.
Probably yes, very, very yes. Well, with Lenny Henry coming out and saying there's going to be black. Okay, here's what he said. Not only black hobbits, he said it's going to be indigenous hobbits to the Shire, although they weren't indigenous to the Shire. They're not a race, but they're multicultural, even though they're all from the same place by the freaking Misty Mountains. They don't really know where they came from. So we're going to have Maori, black, Asian hobbits, which I'm guessing we're going to have all those for elves too, although that was a specific description from Tolkien. They're fair. I noticed Wikipedia leaves that part out, but if you go back and look, Tolkien described what elves look like. Very much so.
Hey, what are we going to talk about the story? It's like, no. We're busy.
What story? I'm going to spoil my video. The story of a fully armored Galadriel and her all-female Númenórean army taking on the all-female hordes of goblins and orcs, fighting Sauron's female lieutenant, who was much smarter and much
stronger.
Than him. He
cowered female Balrog.
This is like when you were describing the hobbits there being multicultural, it just kind of brings to mind The Witcher and how ridiculous that looked. And you know, I know that there's like certain explanations within the lore of it that kind of try to justify it, but like I don't think it was particularly mentioned in the books. But it just looks, when it's represented on screen, it just looks stupid to see that kind of many, you know, it's like a world where bigotry against elves exists, but like bigotry between races of humans is completely unheard of.
Yeah.
And it doesn't gel. It doesn't make sense. And you know, I know the maker of the show has tried to like engage with people on Twitter. Like she's certainly cozied up to the quartering. But I don't know, man. It just seems really fake to me.
It is fake, and I'll throw it in your I'll throw it in the private chat. But
all right.
But somebody reached out to me. But like with The Witcher, you're right. It takes you right out of it. It's supposed to be Northern European lore. With Tolkien, it's what they're playing with. It. I go over a video in a video, but Tom Shippey, when he was still involved, said specifically that Amazon cannot go against anything Tolkien wrote, but they can interpret things he wasn't very specific on or didn't explain. We all know what he meant. But they're gonna favorably interpret it to be LGBTQ plus representation and, you know, multiracial, multicultural hobbits, where you could with men. He thought of other races of men, and that's the thing is that I pull out is like he thought of all this shit. He thought of the fucking cycles of the moon, the tides, the geography, and the lineage of all kinds of 750 named characters. By the way, that we know of. There might be more. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. They're making up characters. It's going to be a giant shit show. They have to cover thousands of years, and in their little synopsis, they're like, "Oh, we're going to cover the forging of the rings, and Isildur might be in it later." That's 1,500 years apart. But Galadriel will be in all of it. She'll be in, which, by the way, she wasn't. She wasn't in any of the major events. She was
They're gonna
around.
contradict the shit out of everything.
She will be now, yeah. Like you can guarantee, like, and of course the rings that are given to men, like the men will all be portrayed as toxically masculine, so that they can, you know, they can get their comeuppance for being so arrogant. The ones that are given to the elves, they'll all go to like wise women who know exactly how to use them and stuff. Like, yeah, standard.
Did you see the meme put up by the quartering? The other here, I retweeted it. I'll share it. It's freaking so accurate of what the show is going to be.
Is it like Lord of the Rings 2030 edition?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, good. Here, I got it.
It's beautiful. I love. They've even. Yeah, here we go. They've even worked in the 90% critic rating and 40% audience rating.
It's a masterpiece. This thing. Yeah. Here, let's see it so we can see the whole thing. There we go.
Hapless comedic relief that dies.
I'm Tanya. I'm Aragorn's daughter. My pronouns are she, them. We must fight the Gondorian nationalists. Yeah. 2030 brand TM.
I love on the top one, you've just got Sean Bean smiling and then like a big muscly wizard going based.
And the "You've done well, my boy" at the top right.
Yeah.
And then over here we have
Sauron's crying.
Soros right here, and then freaking, and then the Chinese, what I don't know what the hell he is, the chairman, and Disney for some reason is involved in this. Oh, and that, okay, so that whole thing that they made yesterday was gaudy. It was like basically Bezos wanted to have his own little fucking trophy, and that's what Lord of the Rings is to him. And he doesn't give a shit what happens after it. So this makes it easy for the creatives who now, so many people in Hollywood, Chris Gore, but not you, in Hollywood now fancy themselves as creatives / activists because do things in the world and stuff because, you know, we have platforms. We're very important white people with platforms. And we need to teach all the marginalized people, you know, the people that we talk down to and treat like fucking children. We need to save them all. Put them back
it's marginalized people everywhere. Tuscan Raiders, for example, gotta save them.
Hey, that young lady, I think, made the best description of Boba Fett. It was about the shifting of George Lucas's power structures in Star Wars. That's what Disney is rectifying.
It's been, I'm assuming you guys saw it. It's been pretty fucking hilarious to watch all the accounts who are like, we're finally giving the Tuscan Raiders culture, history, and we're showing that there are people. And then episode 3 happened. They were all like raging at the creators. They were like, "You killed them! You killed them!" It's like, yeah, they got wiped out. Too bad.
That's the mentality at Disney. It's like you're useful as long as you make us money, and then you've served your purpose. Now you can die, and we'll just move on to the next thing.
Don't worry, there's plenty more Tuscan Raiders enslaving people across Tatooine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And by the way, Gary, I'm in Pasadena, not Hollywood. Fuck Hollywood. It's a shit
pretty
show.
nice.
No, Pasadena is like the Midwest. It just reminds me of just like normal blue collar working people, dive bars, restaurants.
Dude, we've got the best neighborhoods though. Like these like really filled in, lived in neighborhoods that are really nice, and it looks like Maple Street. Every street looks like Maple Street.
Yeah, it's boring Midwest, which is what I like. But no, it's a weird prevailing attitude like that. People in Hollywood they really care about perception. Right? It's all bullshit. It's all, and that's all it is. It's all smoke and mirrors bullshit. If they actually cared about any of those issues, they would get into politics, start some organization, not make fucking movies. Movies are made to make money and entertain audiences. And somehow that has been lost completely. I mean, it's one thing like George Lucas was very philanthropic, but he never like wove that into the storytelling necessarily. It was he had what was it called, Lucas Learning, right, where he created software to teach kids. Like, he's actually very philanthropic, but they were two separate things, right? Two completely separate things. And just to see, everyone in Hollywood wants to see themselves as like they're saving fucking humanity by making a movie. Unfortunately, the Eternals didn't do that.
No, it did. It saved lives, Chris.
Especially
Don't you
gay
understand?
lives.
That's true. It saved lives.
There was an article I read recently, and it's been sent to me multiple times about Hollywood's new rules. And it was it's really long, but it's really detailed, and it's very interesting, talking about basically the problems that they have now, and like how every studio is now replacing the writers and the creative talents behind TV shows and movies with people who have just been hired because they tick certain boxes, and the old guard have just been forced out because they can't get jobs anymore. but the people that they bring in are just activists, and that they've got their tick boxes to complete in order to get a script approved. It's got to, include demographic X, Y, and Z. And that's how everything is produced now in Hollywood. It has to tick every box in order to even stand a chance of success. This is how movies and art is made now. Not through creativity, but through diversity. And that is disastrous for the culture that we're producing now. That is what
really
we are
well.
getting.
And it's great for the activists because they either change the thing they wanted to change or they destroy it. Either way, win-win. They destroy something from Western civilization. They can walk away, taking away something else traditional, another statue, another symbol, pulled down.
Yeah, they can bathe in fanboy tears, can't they?
Yep.
And that most of all is like the epitome of what these people are. They just love to see people pissed off. They love to destroy. They love to take things away from people that they used to enjoy.
Oh, it's Nietzsche's ressentiment, as he would put it. The miserable people that can't accomplish or create things on their own, so they take pleasure in destroying something of someone else's.
Yeah,
they can try, by the way, but Lord of the Rings is only going to get people will only talk about how much better Peter Jackson's version was and how much better the original books are as a result of this show.
I agree. I think well, for one, I didn't ask this in my video, and I can still add it in. Where does this sit? Because it reminds me a bit of Watchmen, which was a sequel to the comic, not the movie, which most people didn't understand. So is this a prequel to the books or the Peter Jackson films? Because that's a huge distinction. That's a huge difference. Because if you're making a prequel to something people haven't seen, it generally doesn't go very well. Because yes, 150 million people have read the book, but most people haven't. The vast majority of people have not read the book because the vast majority of people are not big readers. So even though it's like the second best-selling book of all time, and you should read it. It's very good. So we'll find out. We haven't gotten that answer, but we also haven't gotten an answer of what it's about other than it takes place thousands of years before The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. We have seen one production photo, which is the first age because we see, well, it could be, it's the trees. So it's after the lamps. So Middle Earth, sorry, spoilers, was originally flat and lit by lamps. You guys know this. And then it was lit by trees. Then there was a cataclysm and they made it round and they got rid of they made one land, they removed it from the map and they gave it a sun and a moon, and that's right around the time I guess where the series is going to start. So we're gonna skip all kinds of stuff. So the one production still might not even be from what the show's about. So we haven't seen anything else. Why? Doesn't it remind you of the Eternals just a little bit? Remember the Eternals?
Yeah.
Didn't come out with any production stills. Didn't come out with any trailers for the last possible minute. Sensing the same thing.
This could wind up being the most expensive mistake that Amazon ever makes. I mean, I would love to go into it with an open mind, but I just cannot see how this is going to turn out good.
I could see them, you could say that at the boardroom, they'd be like, but Drinker, we've got to try. We got to try and make money from Lord of the Rings. It's an IP we can use. We got to try.
We also have to continue the message to let people know that they can be better.
Right.
The message.
Chris,
I hope Falcon is in this show.
You've got some experience in this town. So, of course, people know when they have a shit product. And because of deadlines and because of release dates, you can't delay it to make it better. Sometimes you can, but most times you can't. So what's the mentality when they just absolutely know this is shit and we got to go out there and make it sound like it's good?
Well, the mentality when something's successful is the most peripheral people want to attach themselves to it if something is successful. That's why there's a million producers on projects now. I mean, I have a friend of mine, they're a married couple and they're a white married couple. And they, yeah, exactly. So they're co-screenwriters. They write screenplays together. They wrote a screenplay for a horror film, and they just said to them straight up, like, look, we want to push female filmmakers, so we can give her sole screenwriting credit, and you can get an executive producer credit. that's the way of things now. And this is like an indie movie, right? Like not even a big film. Like, but what I see too is when something is not successful, people try to distance themselves. They're like, well, I was not really involved in this. It's like they're jumping off the sinking ship, right? They just don't want to take. There's no accountability, right? That's why people like fail upwards, right? Like it's sort of sickening to watch. But I just saw like things like, I mean, I first got into like, I mean, God, I'm just having been around since the 90s. I saw it happen like in real time where things started to get corporate, really corporate, like in probably the 2005 started like corporate sort of leaking in, but not so bad. Then it was like 2010. It's like, oh, corporate, you're having like, this is like freelance gigs I would do, but I'd still have to go to the sexual harassment training seminar, right?
Yep. I had to do that too. I was doing third-party gigs for Disney and WB, and I had to take their fucking HR training.
And it was funny because when I worked at G4, they did their sexual harassment thing. They showed that video of Tom Brady when he was on SNL, and they sort of were showing the difference. It was just sort of this, one of the schlumpy actors from the show is like, hey, do you want to go out on a date? And the woman would say, no, get away from me. And then Tom Brady would come up just wearing tidy whities and say, do you want to go on a date? And the woman would say, yes. I mean, it's when SNL was funny.
Yes.
Which was
a
a long time
ago.
Long ago. Like, but no, it's just, it's really just corporate. Everything's just become too fucking corporate, right? Like, and now it's like, it used to be like, yeah, the environment's corporate, but you can still, when it comes to the work, the actual film, TV show, whatever, that's untainted by a corporate environment. Now the corporate environment is actually tainting the films and television itself, to the point where late night television is unwatchable. There is nothing funny. It's all agenda. It's all propaganda. It's, get the jab. It's not funny. It's freaking Stephen Colbert talking about, the filibuster. Who fucking cares? Be funny.
Oh my God. He said we should get rid of the Senate. What a fucking, the guy's dumb. You should stop.
I would use Stephen Colbert to torture terrorists.
Get rid of the Senate. Our democracy is in trouble. Now wants to get rid of the entire Senate. He's an idiot. The big problem. Okay, for example, Lord of the Rings. We talked about this on our Fellowship live stream. Go check it out. It's awesome. After you watch this live stream, do it. There was a 20th anniversary for Fellowship of the Ring. There is a phenomenon around this film. How did Amazon not take advantage of it? Put fucking Fellowship in the theaters, put a trailer for your show in the theaters, and make it a huge event and a rollout. By the way, premiering the episode on the day of Tolkien's death.
God. Are they?
Fucking kidding me? September 6th.
Man.
There's got to be some symbolism at play
I was
there.
about to say, that sounds deliberate. Like, why?
That makes sense.
They're gonna have a live stream where they also burn his tombstone. So I'm gonna tune into that.
Get all over it. Like,
They project the movie onto his grave. Like,
maybe somebody needs to go protect his grave.
And then they piss on it to put it out. It's gonna be really progressive.
That's where corporations, like, that's where they miss stuff because they're so disconnected and stupid. You could have made a huge event out of the 20th anniversary of Fellowship.
why don't they like did a day-long event in theaters where they play all three movies with like gaps in between to go to toilet and stuff? Just like,
yeah, dude, I would go. I would
go.
go. I would have an event. I'd buy like, if I could buy the theater, I would. I'd buy out the theater and invite a bunch of people. Hell yeah.
Fucking awesome. And you were saying, by the way, about like people who know these projects are shit and having to talk about them in some kind of positive ways. Like, we just seen that with Tamura Morrison about Boba, his desperation in trying to I love it. Give me more of that shit. Give me more actors being honest about these projects. I beg you.
Well, I mean, you need actors who actually have knowledge. Most actors that I've ever, it's my least favorite thing that I've ever done in entertainment is when I have to interview an actor, because it's like interviewing someone that's being incredibly diplomatic. All they're going to do is say, it was great to work with so-and-so. It was great to work with so-and-so. I loved so-and-so. I love this movie. Even if they know it's not true, that's what they're going to say because they're actors. They're the least interesting part of the process to me because, you know, they're and not my words, but other people have said they're effectively meat puppets, right?
I've
They're
said
meat
it.
puppets. You've said, well,
That's true.
You can get left like Christopher Lee, for example. I'm pretty sure he's just interesting no matter what interview
Well,
you got him for.
Well,
well,
I think Gary, you said it best when you called them professional adult pretenders.
yeah.
Like that's just the perfect description.
But then you get people, you do get actors like a Christopher Lee or like a Harrison Ford who will push back, who know story, who actually studied classic literature and storytelling and like actually bring something to the craft rather than like I can read these words and insert emotion. I mean, Harrison Ford famously like pushed back against George Lucas constantly, changing that the infamous "I love you, I know" exchange. That was Harrison fucking Ford. That wasn't, he was the original scripted line was I love you too," which Harrison Ford, if had he said it as Han Solo, would have come off as a bitch. So it's great that never happened. But there's so few actors these days because there's such a climate of fear in Hollywood about whether your politics align correctly or whether your social media presence is in keeping with the what everyone should be saying, right? Like that there's no one bold enough or with the balls enough to actually push back. So I'd say these days there are just very few actors that bring something other than here I am, I look good, I can say the words. I mean, who?
Yeah, I think it becomes easier when you're an established actor.
Right, true.
Like, when you've got fuck you money behind you, or you're just too big to fail, you can push back a lot more. But I think so many of these actors now, like you take someone like Daisy Ridley, who was on Star Wars. That was her first really big gig. She's not going to push back on jack shit because, like, what the hell is she going to do? This is her ticket to the big time.
She was on the Toast of London before Star Wars.
Wow.
She was I think
done a lot since then though.
when she was promoting The Last Jedi, like her input on the story writing was like, this is right. This is a good decision. You just said that, like, do you have any like actual clue as to why? Do you even know what's happening in the story? Do you care? I'm pretty sure Ridley did she care about like Star Wars before she was hired for this? I don't think she did, right?
I don't know, but it's well, no, she actually did some really small shitty indie movie that they canned for a while about a comic book artist. I only know it because I saw the trailer. It's weird. You can look up the trailer. I'll find it. But also, like, I saw in an interview where Steven Spielberg was talking about working with actors, and he had some weird sort of offhand thing where he said most actors would come in and they're just prepared, on the day, right? And he said that now they're obsessed with they care more about being famous than the work. And they used to come in, like having their sides memorized. They didn't need to know anything. They didn't need they came in prepped. And he's saying that they're learning it as they're shooting. I mean, this is like fucking Spielberg complaining about modern actors, right? So,
Well, did you guys see the thing where Benedict Cumberbatch was like, I don't even know what Doctor Strange is doing in the film, really? Like,
that makes sense.
Man.
Well, that's the Disney way of doing. That's probably, I mean, like in Daisy Ridley's defense, the Force Awakens was being written on the fly by Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams riffing while he's ripping off a movie, and they film in these blocks, as you know, and they're out of order, and sometimes they don't give them the other lines, so they're just reading their lines. Even if they're talking to somebody in some cases, it's so crazy and compartmentalized at Marvel now.
It's the content pipe, man. Just shoving them out block by block.
They're filming like stuff. Well, for one, remember all those set shots of Robert Downey Jr. in the Shield outfit in Endgame? Like, I'm sure they could put that in Doctor Strange now and make it a multiverse thing if they want.
Well, if they pay him,
they gotta pay him though. They gotta pay him.
It's gonna get to the point where they're not even gonna hire the actors. They'll just license their likeness and then they'll just deep fake them into a movie.
Well, you say that. Didn't the guy, there was a person who did a way better deepfake of Luke Skywalker at the end of Mando season 2, and they ended up hiring him.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that.
Unironically, he's probably fucking working on the Harrison Ford one. That guy for the end of Boba Fett.
This is what you're going to come to now. That's
the
what
future.
movies are eventually going to be. They'll just be video game cutscenes essentially.
Isn't there that movie being made where they license? I forget the name of it. They licensed the likeness to James Dean to cast him in a new movie. So the estate of James Dean in Fairmont, Indiana, they licensed James Dean's likeness. They're going to have a double be in the film, and then they're going to digitally put on James Dean's face. That's the future of movies. We're going to see new John Wayne movies where John Wayne apologizes for being too manly.
Yep.
You know?
He's gonna apologize to all the Native Americans. So he has shot so many of you.
I take back everything I ever said about the colored director.
John Wayne and Humphrey Bogart will be in the Stonewall movie. Somebody thought that was got that joke. They'll be in a gay relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Go with Brokeback Mountain. That's a more relevant reference. Will
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm riffing here. Okay, I got to get to my 14 riders. They're just behind one of those doors. I've got them trapped. I give them like noogies once in a while.
That's your team. That's your team.
My team to divide and conquer.
But look what they even did with Ghostbusters Afterlife, where they brought in Harold Ramis. And it was a nice scene, but ultimately, like they've just got his likeness in there, CGI'd in as a ghost. Sorry for anyone who hasn't seen it, but that again, that's all they're doing. They're taking actors who are no longer around. They get a license to use their likeness, and they can just do whatever they want with them then. And that becomes a starring role in a movie, or at least an appearance from them. They're a character in a film.
Doesn't that seem very weird? Okay, so what if one of John Wayne his heirs like sells his likeness to put him in like a gay porn or something like that?
Oh my god.
It could happen. It could totally happen now. If you license it out, or they manipulate some law to where like the fifth grandchild, the great grandchild can do that. I mean, like, sorry to get back to Tolkien, but the Tolkien estate, that's what's happening now. Is Christopher passed away, and now there's all these kids who are third generation wealth, never worked a day in their effing life, in charge of this, and don't understand what a life's work means. Don't understand what legacy means, and they'll like,
goddamn Zoomers.
Yep.
It's like the equivalent of a kid inherits their great grandfather's stamp collection, and they're like, "Someone want this for $5?"
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh God, what have you done?"
This is really the danger, isn't it? When companies get their hands on the properties or the licensees to do what they want with IPs. Particularly now as we move away from physical media, like they can say they've got the rights to a bunch of 80s action movies, and they decide like, well, there's boobs in this scene, which is totally unnecessary, but they're in there because it was the 80s. Fuck it. That's problematic, so that scene has to go. Or this scene's too violent, or they use a racial slur in this scene. We can't have that, and so they can just edit it any way they want, and because they hold the rights to it, and it's available to download only from them. That's the only version you get now. They've just rewritten history.
It was Back to the Future 2 and Splash. They did that with, right?
Yeah, they did like the really weird like digital hair over Daryl Hannah's arse cheeks, because you can't see that. You can't see a woman's ass for like a few seconds.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's terrible.
This is it. Like what was it, Gone with the Wind? I think they wanted to change that as well, because there's certain racial slurs used in that, and like pretty stereotypical stuff because it's set during the fucking Civil War. I think they were talking about editing scenes out of that, and that's
Faulty
gone
Towers,
forever.
Community, The Office. I'm pretty sure all these shows have had episodes blacklisted because there's certain jokes in one or two of them that are like, well, imagine a youth saw this, they might have a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's actually the diversity episode. Isn't that the one that they shelved?
Oh, for The Office?
Yeah, for The Office. I think it's diversity.
Several of the jokes in that were what convinced me to go forward with the show, because I was like, this is so fucking funny. Like I enjoyed it so much. The famous one being, they've all got a minority attached to their head, and they've all got to say something to each other so that the person can guess what minority they are. and I think Dwight has Asian on his head, and someone says like, I guess someone might say you're not a good driver, and he goes, oh god, am I a woman? It's great, like, but no, that could hurt someone's feelings. So,
Oh.
Yeah, this is the future of comedy. Like, just make it as bland and inoffensive as possible. What was that I saw? It was like, it was during that controversy about, like, you know, Hank Azaria voicing Apu in The Simpsons. It's like, well, you can't have a non.
That's a whole
Indian actor.
documentary. You know, that's a whole
Yeah.
documentary.
But then it was like the response was like, okay, well, to accommodate all of this, we have produced like Humor Family 3000, and it's like now compatible with all 3057 genders available, and it's like guaranteed not to offend anyone, and it's just like this row of blank faces on a couch, like they're all just like gray blobs, like there's no distinguishing features in any of them, and that's kind of what they would turn comedy into, I suppose. Just comedy by committee, designed not to offend anyone. It's like, well, how can you even be funny in that case?
I know. That's my life on YouTube. Make a video, edit it like 3 or 4 times. I don't think I could say that because I thought it was funny.
But
if I thought it was funny, it's probably too edgy.
Yeah.
And it's just the benchmark. Sorry, the goalposts keep moving, don't they?
Oh yes, I know when YouTube changes its TOS. That's when I get the 4 a.m. messages telling me my video is either demonetized or age restricted, or deleted.
Does that happen often for you? Like,
it happens every time the TOS changes. So every few months, just wake up like, oh, there's a new TOS change. We found that this video that was fine literally 24 hours ago is against the new community guidelines. And I'm just like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's when, I guess what you live in fear of the longer you've been on YouTube is that, like, some video that you made like 3 years ago or whatever, which was totally fine at the time, will suddenly get like plucked out, and they decide, oh, this is violating our TOS. Now it's been, you know, you've got a community strike against you or whatever.
Yep, that's how it goes, man. Then I gotta fight it like a bad court case.
Yeah.
God, you know, it's genuinely, it's just like I don't understand what's the point of YouTube anymore sometimes, because YouTube has killed mainstream television. Let's face it, it's destroyed it. Now everything is streaming services. If they just put their energy behind content creators rather than worrying about what Twitter thinks, this site would be so much better. Like, YouTube is twisting itself into knots trying to figure out how to fight TikTok. You know why TikTok works? Because people can do more. People can say more. I just watched someone get robbed on TikTok in a funny way. I saw a cat get hit by a fan 2 days ago. I laughed my ass off. You can't put that on YouTube now. I'm just saying, let people be fucking people, because that's what we are. You're never going to have a utopia. Never. It's not going to happen, because everyone's a pile of shit. And the sooner you accept that everyone's a piece of shit, the better your life will be. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Year. Man, I was just thinking there, when we were speaking about like the changing tides and what's acceptable, it just brought to mind Joss Whedon, which...
Did you guys see Razorfist's video on that? It was pretty fun.
I've not seen his one yet. No, I imagine there'll be an epic rant there.
Halfway through the video, he's like, I guess I'm starting to like Joss Whedon. Because of the comments that he's given. He's like, because I think Razorfist thought that Ray Fisher was a shitty actor and that Gal Gadot's, you know, English is very fluent, so he was just enjoying the comments. And in a sense, I was listening to that, I was like, yeah, I mean, it is pretty funny.
I think both things can be true. You know, you can accept that Joss Whedon probably was an asshole on set. So what? There's no fucking law against that. Like, directors are assholes. It happens. Deal with it. That's Hollywood.
Assholes get things done.
Well, exactly, yeah. Like, obviously there's limits. Like, if he's sexually harassing people, fine. That's shit you can't do. But like, if he's just generally being a dick, there's no law against that. And yeah, but I can accept that. But I can also accept that Ray Fisher is kind of a shit actor and he's just crying for attention, basically.
He's killed his career.
Well, and it's interesting to think about, right? Because isn't Stanley Kubrick and Hitchcock, they're both considered like they did loads of asshole moves with their acts and stuff, but like their legacies are legendary directors who did infinite stuff for art in general.
Stanley
So,
Kubrick caused Shelley Duvall to have a full-on breakdown on The Shining.
yeah. Meanwhile, Whedon's legacy, everything that he's ever done, it's down the toilet, and people are actively trying to be like, you know what? He didn't really do anything good, actually. If you think about it, like, oh, we're doing that. Oh no.
Yeah, let's not do that.
If someone said like Kevin Spacey was never a good actor, I'd be like, that's bullshit. He's a piece of shit, but I mean, he still was an amazing actor.
I have a very important question for Chris Gore that I was sent. Someone wants to know if Olivia Munn's feet were as delicious in person as they were on TV.
For a friend.
I swear to God.
Wait, her feet? Her feet? Seriously, her
Yes.
feet? I
Seriously,
don't know. I mean, wasn't really looking at her feet. No, but she look,
I wouldn't be either.
She was fucking great. She pushed people. She was, like her and Kevin had like a great chemistry, and she made me better. I'm just a fucking guy that likes movies, and she would push me and prod me. She once, oh my God, I don't know, in a good way, would fuck with me on camera, and I was great. So yeah, no, she was awesome. I don't know, like, I'm trying to think her feet. No, it wasn't. It was. I got no feet. I got no Olivia Munn feet stories. I'm sorry about that. So.
Oh well, that answers your question, my guy.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
You're looking at her feet.
I mean, she jumped in a pie. She ate a hot dog with covered in mustard.
You're looking at Olivia Munn's feet. I'm just talking to the guy asking the question.
Okay. You can. I mean, look.
Foot fetish. That is a because like that. I would say like maybe 5th or 6th priority on her.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's down on the list, but no, she was the kind of chick that you could go and have a beer with and hang out, and like, she was cool. I mean, just speaking to how I knew her then, but
obviously, I mean, and you know that it wasn't just that she was hot. She looked like she could hang with the guys, right? Well, she did, and then she did all that crazy shit without complaining, and
not once. What a champion!
Yeah.
She even pushed the writers. I mean, it's just like they would have like writing meetings, because I would go to them. Sometimes I would co-host with her, and she'd be going through the script, and it's like, we need to make this better. Let's do this, or I'm not doing that. Like, she would, once she got in the position where she was Olivia Munn, because she wasn't at the beginning in 2006, like it really took until like, maybe like 2007, she kind of knew she was finding her ground there, and like really had come into her own. And like, I feel like the show was best around 2008.
Yeah,
that was sort of the sweet spot. 2008, 2009, it was awesome. But you know what? Look, to me, and I've said this on other shows, I think YouTube has effectively replaced what G4 was. It's an opportunity where people can be themselves. They can have opinions for the most part unfiltered, for the most part, and G4 is a victim of the current corporate climate of stuff being sanitized and through one lens only, and that's just the way kind of all entertainment is. It's really hard to kind of slip through that filter untainted, or you just make an independent film, like. So I don't know. I really think that Hollywood, until it really starts to hurt in the pocketbook, and when they start to look at this stuff and go, hey, people are, I think there's going to be a real change. It's going to be fall of 2022. You're going to see Disney Plus. You're going to see numbers for the first time start to take a nosedive. Because they've got
it happens.
I mean, they've got no adult programming, right? They have Fox's library, right? Freaking Mel Brooks movies and Alien series and on and on and on. So many classic, and nothing. It's not, the fact that Disney is basically a kids channel that's why all the original shows are going to be awful because they're sanitized. Star Wars, Marvel, and they're not doing anything adult. You will never see anything like Netflix's Daredevil ever again.
Nope.
I mean, you're never going to see it. So that's just that leaves certain people out. And also, by the way, audience is aging up. The audience that first started became Marvel fans because of the movies, which is fine. That's cool. It's, you know, it's a large tent. New fans are welcome, but at the same time, they're getting older. You know, their tastes are changing. They're not. This Ms. Marvel show looks like it's just a little kids show. It looks like a Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
You know?
What happened to we went with Deadpool and Logan, and it's like, oh, we're gonna get, clearly there's interest in, and it's like, no, sanitize.
That was very much like the last stand of these franchises, though. You know, like Logan, it was like Hugh Jackman's final appearance as Wolverine.
It won't
the
be his final appearance.
entire franchise was just about dead by that point. It was like, oh, fuck it, let's just try something totally different. And it's like, finally, after about 15 years, you found the formula that worked. Like, if you'd done that right from the beginning, my God, what your franchise could have been.
And they abandon it. But yeah, that sweet spot, that sweet spot with X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, Deadpool, and Logan, and I love. I even like the Wolverine, but I thought that was great. That was Fox figuring out the X-Men. Finally, they had freaking costumes, and of course, then they brought Bryan Singer back full on, and that. Deadpool 3 Mario versus Pitt is going to be garbage. It's going to be PG-13, or it'll be a rated R. That's a Disney rated R. Which will be just terrible, and it's taken too long. Like all the momentum, and Tim Miller, he did direct Derp Fate, but I think he was kind of an important part of why Deadpool 1 succeeded. Plus, they had a limited budget, and
those two things can be true.
Yeah. So I just don't think we're going to see Deadpool 3 is not even going to be as good as Deadpool 2, which, wasn't great. It was okay. I had great moments. I liked the Juggernaut in it. I hated that kid. That kid just drove me nuts.
That's not even mentioning Blade, that's going to get Disney-fied.
Oh, God.
Blade, X-Men.
Oh, God. Don't remind me.
The forecasting is going to come out. I mean, why do you think they're waiting on all this? Like, why wouldn't you hurry up with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men? Especially the X-Men, your number one property outside of Spider-Man. And you're like taking your time with it, because maybe Disney's actually waiting for this woke era to end so they could cast a proper X-Men, an accurate X-Men, which is plenty diverse anyway. And I mean classic, not this modernism that they have in current Marvel comics, which is probably what they're going to.
All right, which classic X-Men we talking? Like 90s X-Men or further
80s,
back?
90s.
I can live with that.
Yeah. I would be okay with like Claremont Silvestri, Claremont Lee, or Claremont Cockrum, or Claremont Byrne, which is my favorite era.
As long as it's Claremont.
Long as it's Claremont era, I'm there. But after that, I'm not. So it's going to be more like Jason Aaron. I can't remember who wrote the last one. That era, unfortunately.
It's just, yeah. I've just got no faith in their ability to, because when you take like edgy characters like Blade, which need R-rated movies, like it's going to be blood and guts routine. I just don't trust anyone like Disney to make that kind of film. I don't trust them to do it justice. And you could say what you want about the Wesley Snipes films, but like they at least went all in on the gore and the blood and guts and the swearing and everything. Like that's what made the films fun. And I just can't see anything like that getting made today. And
honestly, I don't trust Disney to make Disney movies.
Yeah, totally. Even when they remake their own films, they find a way to fuck it up.
Jay and Free was talking about how do we trust Disney to handle a DID character in Moon Knight, and it's like I don't trust them with a character, let alone fucking multiple. Like, are you kidding me?
I don't trust them with a puppy.
Yeah, what do we think Disney is good at right now? It's like
ruining things.
Yeah,
we should send Disney to China.
Well, what are they ultimately producing now? Because if you flash back to the 90s when Disney went through that real renaissance, and you're getting movies like The Lion King, Aladdin, like these classic animated films where they were breaking new ground. They don't produce anything like that anymore, really. all they do is just produce live action remakes of stuff they've already done, or all the Marvel stuff, all the Star Wars stuff. Like, where's their new stories? Where's their like modern fairy tales? There's just nothing.
Well, they take female villains and they make them sympathetic characters. You fucking bigot.
Of course, yeah.
Her mother was killed by Dalmatians.
And that's
Fuck
why
you,
she
Dalmatians.
God, that's so stupid. That happened. That actually happened in our timeline.
This is the other thing that they do, where they try to reframe, because it will only ever happen to female characters, I guarantee it. Like, they reframe them as they're actually tragic anti-heroes that are just misunderstood, but they're actually like awesome people underneath it all. Because again, you can't just have an evil female character who's just an asshole for whatever reason. They have to have a man usually that's turned them down that dark path.
Women don't ever do anything evil just because.
Listen,
That's
we're
the
gonna find out all
mentality
about
now.
Ursula. Ursula was a very kind fish god, okay, and things just got bad.
If Disney wants to cast me to play the young Jafar, I'm in.
What I mean, when you guys saw the trailer for Moon Knight, because we talked about that just briefly there, like, what did you think about it? What do you think its prospects are?
That looks neat. It'll be shit.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think it's Batman. It's white Batman, in terms of just like white looking. And I thought the costume looked weird.
Yeah, it didn't come off Moon Knight like.
No, there was something about it. I don't know. It looked like they were trying to make it accurate, so I give them points for that. But like, it just looked like this weird, like Doctor Strange's costume in No Way Home, right? Like, it looked cheap, and it just like, oh, it's Batman, right? So I don't know.
It's Disney Plus. It's gonna be bad. I thought the trailer was fine. I like some of the elements they put in. I don't like that Mark Spector's not gonna be the main character. I heard that later after I saw the trailer. I'm like, eh.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of pulling for Oscar Isaac. Like, he's become like my Henry Cavill, where I just want him to get some good roles, and I just feel like he hasn't. He's just really underappreciated as an actor.
Agreed. I think it's a good choice for Mark Spector, but apparently he's not playing Mark Spector in it, so that'll be part of his personality. But they're going to lean more towards the beta version of the personality, and it certainly looks like that. I'm like, that's not even the way it was in the comic books, at least in the ones I read back in the day. I know they've rewritten Moon Knight 1,000 times, and they've done a bunch of crazy shit. But
You talk about the ones in 1800s.
Damn it. Yeah, I think I saw, what was it? Our good friend George was saying, like, maybe the law of averages, they'll hit one, maybe, but I don't think Disney's quite figured out this whole making streaming stuff yet. I think that they're just taking movie scripts and repurposing them, or treating them like that and just stretching them out over 6 hours, and we have a bunch of filler. Each Marvel Disney Plus show has had multiple episodes of filler, of all the ones you guys have seen. I think even Loki probably was the one that moved the quickest, and it was still just quicker to deconstruct the character. And Disney just can't tell stories. They can't tell good stories. And whether it's they're keeping, I think it's their approach. I think they have to check boxes before they get into the story part of it. And it's not about creativity. It's about creating product or platform.
It's nuts. The inability to make TV shows and tell stories when they are Disney, the pioneers of a lot of different storytelling techniques, and they've got this huge wealth of people who've made TV shows for them they can copy, but they're not doing it.
That's a bit of a myth, though. Like, what has Disney innovated in the last 20 years?
Oh yeah, I guess I'm not saying like modern
I mean,
stuff.
back in the 30s and stuff. Yeah, sure. I know what you meant, but this is supposed to be like the creative company. They're the one company that wasn't owned by GE or something like that. That's what you're saying. Like, this is a Hollywood homegrown company. But Disney has gone through multiple eras of just creative bankruptcy, and they almost went out of business. And they had the 80s were terrible, and things were terrible until they bought a bunch of shit. But they haven't innovated anything, and that's going to be their big problem. And the CEO they got now is not known for innovating. He is known for pinching pennies and cutting costs. I love what he said about paying attention to the audience and listening to the audience. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I heard that.
I mean, Apex, the guy who can, like, because he's so profit focused, is he the best prospect for just cutting through all this bullshit and saying, right, all this woke garbage that you're trying to preach to people, nobody's fucking buying it, it's losing us money, stop it. And I don't care if you're pissed off, that stops right now because we're here to make money.
That could be a possibility, but I mean, the article came out with his 3 pillars, came out within days of that new rules for Hollywood article, which explained everything. How do you get a job in Hollywood? Did you read the I'm going to paraphrase, the quote was, you outwoke the wokest guy.
Yeah. I saw that.
That's like prison.
That's it's exactly like prison. It's entrenched in Hollywood now. So Bob Chapek would be the Trump of Hollywood. He would be going up against the entire machine. Creatives, everybody would be backstabbing him. He wouldn't have any friends anywhere. I wish him luck, and if that's really what he wants to do, I fully support him. I don't believe it, because this is the same guy he signed off on Gina Carano's firing. Like, she doesn't get fired without his signature. He was the effing CEO of Disney. So he must have, like, he had to okay that, or he gave Kathleen Kennedy the power to do that and didn't stop it, which was something he should have done, because that did horrible things to the Star Wars fandom, and that's why it's eroding even more. So, I know people want to be hopeful. Wait until you see it with your eyes. Wait until you see actual change, and not just a Spider-Man, multiple Spider-Man No Way Homes, like a year of content that isn't filled with identity politics and all that crap.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
we've had a couple of examples where one good thing happens, and then we're like, "It's changing." It's like, oh, guys, come on.
Well, I just put something in the private chat that if you're thinking the change and movies are going to become less woke, I'm very, very sorry to have to spill the beans on this very important pop culture piece.
Eminem's characters to become more inclusive.
How can they become more inclusive? They're fucking M&Ms.
So fuck.
All the colors of the rainbow to begin with.
There's no particular images or anything with this, so shall I just read it for the benefit of people in chat? Right.
Emotional.
Candy is about to get more inclusive, in quotation marks, with the maker of M&M's announcing its famed characters are getting modern makeovers and will have more nuanced personalities. Mars Incorporated, the company behind the colorful candy-coated chocolates, announced Thursday a global commitment to creating a world where everyone feels they belong and society is inclusive. As part of the new mission to increase the sense of belonging for 10 million people around the world by 2025. Why 10 million? Like, there's 7 billion of us. Anyway, Mars said the M&M's characters who serve as the mascots for the brand would be receiving fresh new looks. So, all right, here we go. The green M&M, previously seen in ads posing seductively and strutting her stuff in white go-go boots, will now sport a pair of sneakers. A description of the green candy on the M&M's website says she enjoys being a hype woman for her friends.
What?
I think let's see what the marketing people have to say. I think we all win when we see more women in leading roles, and I'm happy to take part in the support of friend when they succeed, the green M&M said on the promotional site. Another character, the brown M&M, described her motto as not bossy, just the boss.
I'll be goddamn. This is actually
a gender swap the candy that doesn't have any sexual organs.
I mean, I have literally never spared a moment to think about the gender, ethnicity, politics, or worldview of the fucking M&Ms that I'm eating. What even is that?
I think at some point people have to get sick of this, right?
Yeah. Where's
World,
Ass with his clown face on?
but it's people have to just like, it's sort of like with any trend, right? There's a trend in something, whether it's fashion or music or whatever, it runs its course. Do you think, that all this stuff at some point people are just going to be like, because it's permeated fucking candy, like it's one thing, okay, entertainment, whatever, but like things go in waves and trends, and this could go away. What do you think?
This is it. I mean, it's been the long decline, Chris, and I think it was on its way out in 2019. That article mentions it, and when the riots, George Floyd, reset everything back to 2016, and it's very unusual in trends, but it had a lot to do with art. Okay, art society was on hold, was on pause, so it was able to be manipulated by the activists. Do you want to? Okay, here's my theory why the riots happened. Everybody was locked down. It was a powder keg, and it was all it took was. I even said this on a live stream. I said, we're gonna have one cop do something stupid, and however you feel, it happened. And what happened was the riots took a couple of days to start because it took the provocateurs and the activists time to organize, and they used it to enact change because people were starting to think about real shit as their lives were paused. They were like, I don't have time to think about your gender. I don't have time to think about this. Now I'm worried about my business and my family. And so they needed to remind everybody that they still needed to think about these social issues by burning every fucking thing down. And there was a lot of money behind that. There was a lot of coordination. People were being bussed in. I said it before, I'll say it again. Down here in San Diego, we don't riot in San Diego. San Diego does not riot. We are the land of the lotus eaters. Nobody gets up to do anything except maybe get their bag of weed. And they rioted here, which is just craziness. They didn't riot.
That is one deep reference you just gave there.
Thank
Lotus
you.
eaters, nice.
Let it go.
They tried in Pasadena. They kind of shut down Colorado Boulevard and gave a speech and whatnot. But nothing happened.
Bus there. There was
I did
San Diego writing, I promise you.
I do remember before all those riots kicked off, before George had that happen to him. There was a lot of articles and there was a lot of talk about like with everything locked down and like shortages of things, like people were in almost survival mode. They were saying like this is the death of wokeness, because wokeness as a worldview is the sort of thing you can only afford when you're affluent, when you've got literally nothing else to worry about. So you start creating problems like this ridiculous shit. And when real problems come up and when you're just struggling to get through day to day, you ain't got time for any of that crap. And so it just gets pushed to the side. And that's where we were almost at. And then, like Gary said, wouldn't you know it, this happened. And
what a coincidence.
Suddenly it's resurgent again.
And it tells you how how bad things aren't when we still have people on TikTok worried about their 57 genders. One electromagnetic pulse away, one big rock away from a bad day for all of us, a bad year, a bad decade for all of us, where we won't be thinking about that shit. Things aren't great, but they're not that bad either, especially as much as the mainstream media is making it out. And congratulations to your country, by the way, for getting rid of all those fucking mandates.
Don't go too far there, because it doesn't apply to fucking Scotland, mate. It's only England that's gotten rid of it.
Homeland too. Oh well, we got to fix that.
Yeah, we will. Well, I won't go too far down this road, but basically our leaders here will do fucking the exact opposite of whatever they do in England, just because that's their mentality, pretty much. Anyway,
California same way.
Yeah, but we're getting there slowly, I suppose.
Well, congratulations.
With this,
England.
you guys.
Sorry,
but. When we were talking there about the M&Ms, it's like, what is it with these fucking food companies deciding to get political? Like Ben and Jerry's, you sell frozen cream that's overpriced, and yet suddenly you You have opinions about like geopolitics and like social movements and shit.
Marketing,
Who
brother.
fucking cares? It's
You
not your
guys-
job to like to mandate any of this stuff. That's not why you exist.
That's the infiltration from those riots. It freaked out every single company. It freaked out Hollywood. It freaked out every rich person in America. And they're like, what can we do to prove we're not racist? And we'll do anything. We'll do anything. Swear to God. So all of a sudden, thank you, capitalism, a new industry popped up. Diversity officers. And each company has one now. And they're like pushing this garbage because they were infiltrated. And there's a huge rabbit hole. Obviously, we could go down, but won't. But that we're seeing the end result of it. Basically, that's it.
When you like opened up that with saying the Eminem thing, I was just like, did you guys ever think, like, is this real or is this a shitty Matrix? Like, what's happening? Like,
I think we ate the green pill. We got the green pill.
I got the black
This
pill.
is why I drink. Like I can escape from this nonsense, this nightmare, dystopian, ridiculous world that we live in. At least like the 1984 of George Orwell was properly sinister and like imposing, and it's like, oh, I can respect the horrifying nightmare that you've created there. Our one is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just nonsense. It's a nonsense world of idiots. Why do we live here? Why are we in the worst timeline?
Well, I mean, like look at you could look at your prime minister over there. Look at our president. Look at the fucking prime minister of Canada. Yeah, idiots. An idiocracy.
This is why I don't trust
the rest of them, but
I think this is the point where you realize like the leaders of the world are literally no smarter than us idiots sitting here on this live stream. Like this is the terrifying thing, and they're in charge of the entire planet.
We only talk about Boba Fett and stuff. They press buttons that lead to wars. Like,
yeah.
Well, I'm armed with common sense.
Yeah.
My mother keeps telling me she wants me to run for something. I'm like, they'd kill me. They'd kill me so quickly.
You're more qualified than the three people I just mentioned. And no offense, brother, but when you're more qualified than the three people I just mentioned, we're not in a good world.
I know.
We like you, Gundam, but it shouldn't be that way.
Running my country, though. I don't want me running my country either. I'd be terrible.
I think I'd be great at it. I feel it in my bones.
These three idiots.
Well, you got my vote, buddy.
Yep.
Thank God, that's one.
For being in his hair, yeah, because of the population thought he was cute. Half the population.
Yeah, he looks like one of those guys who should work for Disney in the parks, playing like a prince or something. You know, like that's the kind of, he's like a cast member basically.
No, he looks like a manager at a Red Lobster. That's what I would say.
He looks like Fidel Castro's son.
This is why I don't trust. I've never. This is maybe a weird Detroit thing because I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I never really trust people who are nice. If you're overly nice to me, I think you have another agenda, and that basically describes everyone in Hollywood. Is just like super nice, but so nice, but like it's like the people in human resources that they're just fucktards, but like they're being overly nice about everything, basically just because they're covering the company's ass because they don't want any lawsuits, right? That's really the job of the human resources department. It has nothing to do with the actual employees and what's good for them. It's like what's good for keeping the company's bottom line, protecting that, right? But like, especially in politics these days, it comes off as like niceness, but it's really, it's fucking disgusting, especially what's happened in Canada and Australia. It's just insane to see what's going on there at this moment. It's all for your health, right?
Yeah. Thank God I don't live there.
Yeah.
Also, quick, everyone say something mean to Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
You asshole, Chris. We should have invited you on this stream.
Right. At least I know if you're being an asshole to me that you're being honest, right? Like those are people I respect and trust. Like I don't care.
I would rather see is like bad words and good actions from people. Like just being kind of an asshole, but ultimately your actions show you for being a decent person because it's your actions that really define who you are.
Yeah. So that's like being Batman.
Yeah.
just like
High functioning depressive.
By the way, you briefly brought up the weed and stuff, Drinker. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I kind of went down the road of, I think both things can be true. Like, one, I think Whedon is probably an asshole on set based on like how many people have described him as such. So I think he probably is overbearing and like a dick to work with. Don't hold that against him in the slightest. It's what I expect from a Hollywood director. I think Ray Fisher is probably just a crybaby who just wants attention, and he's trying to use this to further his career. So yeah, I think both of those things are true. The fact that I just think it's hilarious that Whedon for all those years was like touted as like this ally, and like this dude who was like on the front line of the feminist cause, like just
he's hanging out with a near
championing the cause of women in media and stuff. But at the same time, just being this sleazy like sexual predator behind the scenes.
Didn't he just say it like it was impossible to resist?
He was basically every girl who was on Buffy tried to fuck her or did fuck her. I don't know. So
I'm pretty sure Dollhouse might have been created specifically for that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Whedon, it's like that's not a guy who got a lot of action before he was famous and rich. You know, he's not a stud. He's not a Chad. And so like when he got to that position, yeah, I can see why he wanted to take advantage of it. Don't really approve of it, especially because a lot of the actresses on Buffy were like 20 years younger than him. But there it is. So I don't know. I think he just kind of got what he deserved on this. But then I don't think that should take away from the things he's created. Like, does it make me like or Buffy less as a TV show? No.
Nope.
I can separate the art from the artist there.
There were some twisted things written in that article. Mahler, you have better memory than I do. What was the part where he wrote Buffy as himself and he and I wanted to fuck me? Something to that effect. It was
because you're reading out different parts of it. Do you guys know that there's this whole part where he talks about how he was 5 years old, he was with another kid at a pond or something.
Oh yeah.
He walked off and then that kid drowned. He was just like, I don't feel guilty for it because it's not my fault, but it's a strange experience. It's like, what the fuck?
Call me crazy. I'm with him.
This article was like the length of a fucking novel, so I only got through about half of it.
Dude, it was Feel Sorry for Man in $5 Million House, and he was complaining about his brothers picking on him in his second summer home. And he's a third generation TV writer, so if you weren't funny all the time, you were just ignored. And then he said he identifies as feminine, just randomly.
Yeah. So. You mentioned that like he got bullied by his brothers when he was a kid. I think he had like long hair, like a girl, and so they called him like a girl. And he spent a lot of time with his mom.
Tragic.
I think she was a pretty strong like hardcore feminist, and he was like, yeah, it was pretty hard to live with someone like that growing up. So I guess what he's saying is like it total fucked him up, and he's pissed off at everyone now.
I guess like I don't know what he deserves exactly, but he is like one of the most hated people on Earth now, and I'm not sure if he should be, but whatever. That's where he's ended up.
I think a guy like him is going to be hated 10 times worse than a guy who is just kind of out and out sexist right from the get-go, because that's a guy who you already knew. Like the people on that side of things, they knew they could just dislike that guy right off the bat. But the worst of all is the traitor to the cause, who touted himself as an ally and then got unmasked as like just being everything that they hated.
Scooby-Doo style.
The venom towards that kind of man is 10 times worse.
And what didn't do him any favors, when he became the traitor of the cause, he had no friends because he had spent years before that alienating the other half of his audience, spurging out about the Orange Man, saying he doesn't want, essentially the things we heard Frost say. We don't want those people as fans. And all of a sudden you're out there and you're all alone when your own.
Well, yeah, and he's on the team where they will not help you. If you get burned, they're gonna leave you for dead. Like they ain't gonna help you.
It's that idea that I think politics only flows one way, and if you ever do anything to get or to fall below the standards of the cult, you're exiled, and so you can only go one direction. So it's like a
big
self-defeating
problem
prophecy.
on their side. They have no path to redemption.
No.
You are done. You go down the hellhole, get flushed. He's been sacrificed. He's a cautionary tale, a bad example, and we should never, ever see him again. Which we probably won't, especially after what he just said.
Burn in hell, bigot.